Hello there, everybody. It's me, Garrett Kidney, the co-host of You've Got to Be Kidding Me on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
And I am Liam Jones, my full name, and I'm also a part of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network as a co-host for You've Got to Be Kidding Me.
We are a TNA history podcast that covers TNA 1 month at a time. We cover all the drama, all the matches, all the Vince Russo nonsense you could ever want in your life.
Have you heard of TNA? I bet you have, but would it be funnier if two people made jokes over it the whole time? Probably.
So if that sounds like fun to you, check it out on this very Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network, and Liam will do bits and whatnot.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Thank you so much for supporting WWE and NXT and me. You're so sweet.
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
Like, wrestling fans deserve nothing. I mean, it's just a terrible group of people. I mean, with the exception of our listeners.
Yes. Oh, yeah. You guys are all good. You guys are all good. But yeah,
I mean,
most
in
other,
general, these wrestling fans, I mean, it's gross.
Rich Preach.
Like, I'm not cool anyway. I don't need someone to tell me I'm cool or not. I'm well aware that I'm not cool.
Oh, wow.
I'm too old. I'm too old to be cool. It's over. When is the last time you were cool?
Rich, I'm cool right now. I don't know what you're talking about.
And we are live on the Flagship Podcast. I am Rich. He is Joe. He is back after his dental emergency. How are things going? How's the former tooth? How's the mouth? How's everything going on with the surgery?
It's good to be back. I hate missing the show. Can't stand missing the show. Did a great job putting the show together, though, on very short notice.
Great guest. Good.
Great guest.
Yeah, good. Matt Griffin was awesome. Can't wait to talk to him again. We'll have to definitely invite him on the show again. Eric Kroll. Nobody could have broken down that lawsuit like he did. So yeah, we did good work last week.
Yeah, short notice too, because I know the wife commandeered my phone while I was all drugged up in the chair and basically told you, no, this dumbass is not doing a show tonight. As I insisted to her, I'm going to do my show tonight.
I knew it. I knew when I got the message from her that it was either like you were in real dire straits, and she was like, no, he can't do it. He's out, and I don't want to talk about it. But then I figured it was you being like, I'm good. I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
Good. It's going to be fine later. I got like 4 hours,
And she smartly took your phone and said, I'm texting that idiot and telling him you're not doing the show today.
Yeah, so I got my phone back in the car, and I saw it, and I'm like, what the fuck? But it was probably for
and then you did audio anyway. You did audio 6 hours anyway.
I did audio, later in the night, like in the middle of the night after she fell asleep. I went and did some audio, but I wouldn't have been able to do the show because at that time I was still like drooling all over myself because I couldn't feel my face. So that would have been a poor idea. So she was in fact correct, but right back on the horse a couple hours later, so as soon as the numbness went down. So, I hate missing the show. I miss doing the show. So we're here. We're going to do the fucking show.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Got right back to everything. A little chapping this week. I feel like a new man. I'm all fucking
full of
you don't realize what's going on.
Yeah, you're full of gusto. Yeah, you were in. You didn't realize how much pain you were in for so long, right?
I really didn't. I mean, I just was living with it for a little while there, but then when I sent you the X-ray, that was hideous.
That was, I think that was not. Yeah, what was more hideous is the the diagnosis and the pitch from Isaac Yankum, DDS, who you went to for your local dental facility. Who I guess you could tell the story a little bit better, but this guy was pitching you on a root canal.
Yeah, well,
on that tooth. What are we doing?
They're all
here?
shysters. You know that they're always trying to get something out of you. So yeah, I showed you that X-ray. Where like half the tooth is literally, it's just a giant.
It looks like you could have
hole.
yanked it out. It looks like if you wanted to and you tried hard enough, you could have yanked that thing out with a pair of pliers.
Giant gaping hole, exposed nerve. The worst pain of all time. All kinds of other damage going on because of that. And he's like, yeah, well, we could do a root canal. There's a less than 10% chance it'll work, and then we'll have to extract.
But it's still going to cost you, yeah.
But we could try that first if you want to save it. And I'm in the chair like, save what? Look at that x-ray. What are we saving? This little fragment of a tooth that remains? I'm like, no, pull it out, sir, please.
Good pitch by Super Deformed in chat room says, can we get Joe's x-rays on the $10 tier? Not a bad idea.
Well, the x-rays are in the Discord. How's that for a pitch? I posted the x-ray in the Discord. I don't remember if it was a pay room or not, but yeah, so I know everybody.
Voicesofwrestling.com/Discord if you want to join in and look at Joe's x-ray. You'll see that tooth. You'll see that tooth and realize, and the root canal, I don't know. I'm going to go with a less than 0% chance that root canal was going to help that tooth.
Like, no, just pull it out. It's a fucking molar anyway. No one's going to miss it. Believe no one can see. I'm not going to miss it. Just pull the fucking thing out and let me go home and do my show, which I didn't know at the time I wasn't allowed to do. So, yeah, but there's nothing scarier. Like you saw the giant hole in that one tooth there in the x-ray with the exposed nerve and everything. So they give you the gimmick. They go in with the gimmick with the needle, and they put the needle all over the place to numb it up, right? And then they let you sit there for like 20 minutes and while it takes. And then he comes back with like that pointy thing, and he comes back with the stick. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to jam this in here. Just let me know if it hurts. And I'm like, I don't think I'll have to let you know. You're going to I'm going to pop out of this chair and crack you in the mouth if that hurt. And then that's the most terrifying split second of your life when they take that stick and they're just they're about to jam it into the tooth because, if the that must imply that there's times where that fucking numbing gimmick doesn't work, right? Yeah. Otherwise they wouldn't bother testing. So that's all you're thinking about when he's got that thing.
Like, I hope it works because this is going to hurt if that didn't work.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not going to feel this, but he's going inside. This isn't a standard tooth with a little cavity. This is a giant gaping hole, and he's going to be touching the literal nerve. He had to stick the needle inside that hole of the tooth to numb up that part of the tooth too, which was not fun. So, yeah, but once he jammed that stick in there and I didn't feel anything, it's like, all right, yeah, just pull that fucker out now and let me get out of here. And then the actual pulling takes like a fraction of a second. Like you don't even know it's gone. He's like, you might hear it crack, but that's normal. And then he gets in there and it's out and you're out of there 5 minutes later. So, and you're doing audio, 5 or 6 hours later. So that's it. That's that at the local dental facility is where I got this taken care of, and now I'm back, and I can't wait to be. And it's a good week to be back. There's a lot to talk about.
It's a lot to talk about. Yeah, definitely a lot to talk about here. Real quick, and then we will less dental talk, and then we'll get into the wrestling talk. The thing that always gets me about anytime I have anything done at the dentist is how long it takes for that numbness to go away, and just the drooling that happens afterwards. Like when I got my wisdom teeth taken out, it wasn't that bad, and I didn't get put under. There was some problem so they didn't put me under. I didn't really care. I was like, whatever, it's fine. I'll just stay out. It's not that big of a deal. It doesn't take that long. It's not painful because I'm so numbed up. But then when you're done, you walk out, and I remember just like walking, and there's just blood all over my shirt, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm drooling blood, and I'm trying to not drool blood. And I'm just drooling blood everywhere. It's all over.
You don't realize
it's on my car. I'm at my house just walking, and there's just a trail of blood behind me. And I'm like, sorry, I don't know. There's nothing to do. I can't stop drooling blood. It's the worst. That is what gets me. And you want nothing more than to reverse that numbness like immediately because it's a terrible feeling. I hate it.
It's the final step though, because when you come down from that numbness, you're gonna feel so much better than when you know what I mean. But yeah. You can't feel anything. You're drooling all over yourself. And then they tell you, too, if it's an extraction, if it's a pulled tooth, they tell you can't spit, you can't suck. If you wash your mouth out, you have to just gently move the salt water around and let it fall out of your mouth. Because if you spit or you even if you yawn hard or sneeze, you can get that dry socket, which is just as painful as the tooth that just got pulled if you end up with that dry socket. So that throws you into panic too. So you got that stupid gauze that you're biting down on for those 2 hours where you're numb is the worst. You got that dumb gauze you're biting down on to try to make sure that the blood clots or whatever so the gum closes up properly.
This is how you feel. You don't know. You can't hear what I'm saying. Like everything feels good.
Gross. Yeah. You're holding like a tissue to your mouth to catch the drool. You feel disgusting. You're changing the gauze every 20 minutes because you're choking on your bloody spit because you can't feel anything.
Brutal.
That's almost as bad as the painful tooth itself, and you're waiting for that. But then once that wears down, and you got that day where you really got to go easy on the food. You know, you can't eat anything crunchy or tough.
Yeah, gotta eat some gotta eat like a baby for a little bit. You know, it's all right.
Yeah, a little applesauce, a little soup. Right, a little room temperature soup and a little applesauce, you know, and but then 48 hours later, you're back screaming at the Reds game and eating well done steaks. So it's fine, and doing your audio, so it's fine after that. But you don't want to get. I'm telling you, that dry socket. From what I understand, I've never had it, but I hear it's a fucking nightmare.
I've never had it either, but yeah, it's always mentioned by my dentist as a don't do this or you're going to get dry sockets or whatever. I'm like, all right. But
yeah. Anything called dry socket
sounds like I don't know exactly what it is, but I don't want to. It sounds awful.
You know. And the other thing is, we have 48 dentists in this town, and I'm of course starting with the nicest looking places and working my way down. And you'd be surprised how hard it is to get an emergency dental visit these days, because these dentists are all packed with appointments for people getting their dopey little cleanings and all this other bullshit. And they're like, oh, well, we've got an appointment Tuesday. I'm like, ma'am, I will be dead by Tuesday.
If I have to wait till Tuesday. Yeah.
This is nothing's working. I'm taking like 5 ibuprofen at a time and it's doing nothing. I cannot wait until Tuesday. So you just go down the line, and where I end up going is like a strip mall, literally called emergency dentist. Yes. Not oh no. Oh yes. It's like next to a GameStop that isn't even open anymore, and it's like
closed out GameStop and
a
Middle Eastern food place. It's like a Mediterranean food place and a closed GameStop.
It just says emergency dentist on the outside. So you're not getting like the best dentist in town, but you'll take it though. So I'm in the chair waiting for the shit to numb me up, and I asked the guy where I got to take a leak, right? So I go in the bathroom. You're gonna hate this. So I'm taking a piss, and then I look over to the right of the toilet behind the toilet brush, right? There is a dead cockroach.
Oh no!
And this thing had to be 3 inches long.
Oh no!
And it was on its back like a turtle. Like
it died of natural causes. It died of natural causes, then, right?
I'm not even sure he was entirely dead. Like one of his legs was still kicking. Like I'm like, oh my god, this is. God. I can't believe where my life has taken me right now. Where I'm at this strip mall dentist with a dead dinosaur-sized cockroach in the bathroom. But listen, when you've got mouth pain, okay, you'll get one of those. You'll go to one of those 1950s back alley abortion doctors if you have to get that tooth taken out.
Right. Get the clothes hanger out. I need this tooth out, no matter what. Yeah,
absolutely. A fucking flack full of vodka and a coat hanger will do. Like you're more that you'll just lay right down and open that mouth. So the strip mall dentist with the cockroach was more than good enough for me on this day, even though I couldn't get in with any of our usual dentists. So
was the bathroom clean otherwise? Because that's really something that determines. To me, if I'm at a not necessarily restaurants, like because most restaurants like the bathrooms are depending on what sort of fancy like a lot of bathroom restaurants are not all that nice unless you're going to like a fancy place or whatever, a steakhouse or whatever. Those bathrooms are gonna be nice, but you're a normal Chinese restaurant, your normal Mexican restaurant, your normal hole in the wall hot dog place is not gonna have a good bathroom. But I would like the dentist's office to have a good one, but it doesn't seem like it was.
They won't.
Are there rings on the toilet? Like, what cleanliness are we looking at here?
You know what they will have though? Everything you described. I used to describe this to the people that worked for me as the Sitco bathroom sign. In other words, when you'd go to a gas station bathroom, they'd always be the dirtiest places on earth.
Yes.
Right. You get the key that's attached to a 17-pound brick.
Right.
And you go in, and it's the
toilet seat is stained brown.
There's piss, shit, vomit, cum. There's everything.
Everything, yeah.
Everywhere. But there's a sign on the wall that says noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
And there's a little signature next to every time on that sign on the wall saying that Lisa came in there and cleaned it at 2 o'clock, Rich. And it's signed every hour. That's the Citgo bathroom sign. The employee just goes in there and signs that fucking thing without lifting a finger because their boss wants that thing. And then their boss comes and sees it signed up. All right, they cleaned it every hour. Meanwhile, nobody.
There's shit on the walls. There's just open feces all over the walls. Someone who had an absolute blowout. An absolute
1987.
No, there has been a drop of bleach used on that bathroom since the Reagan administration.
But that fucking sign, that has a signature on it every hour on the hour. And I used to, I'm like, listen, I tell my managers, no Citgo bathroom signs. Just get in there. Hospital clean is how we want this to look. Okay? Because it's a bathroom and people have this thing in their head. Well, you could tell what the kitchen looks like by what the bathroom looks like as they elbow you in the ribs. Not true, by the way, but I know people think
I know. I've worked in it, so I know that's not true. But yes, you would like to. A lot of people would think that it would be the same, but it's having worked in very clean places with very clean bathrooms and not that clean kitchens. I can tell you, not always the case.
Yeah, or the opposite, because nobody wants to clean the bathroom. You very easily can get people to clean the kitchen.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to clean piss and shit. So anyway, long story short, this dentist office bathroom with the 75% dead cockroach was not hospital clean. Let me just put it that way.
Okay.
It was not hospital clean. It was surface clean. Did somebody wipe down the sink knobs at some point that day? Yeah. Was the bathroom clean? I can't call it clean.
Yeah, the caulk.
Can't call it clean.
The caulk was a little dirty. Obviously I hadn't gotten a brush in a while. Or the best way to tell is like the dirtiness is like, or the dust or the dirt or whatever on the bat is all kind of pushed to one side. Because they got in there with like a Swiffer and just kind of went, I'm not bending down to pick up that, but I'm gonna shove all of the dirt and the debris into the back corner behind the toilet and then just call it a day and then wipe down the faucet, like you said, and then move on.
Yeah, another way to tell is a 2-pound dead cockroach behind the toilet brush.
Yeah, right.
So did I flush the toilet with my foot? I did. Did I open the handle with 16 paper towels on my hand as I exited? I did. But especially since I'm like, you know what? I'm probably going to compulsively touch my numb mouth later.
Correct. With an open wound. Yeah. So I might want to.
Right. This. In my dry socket going on in there. So I might want to not put my hands on anything in this strip mall dentist bathroom with the closed GameStop next door. And when I say closed,
the shuttered GameStop, yeah.
I'm talking like the metal grates pulled down on the like this fucking GameStop was closed.
Yeah.
Who's going there anyway when you could just download everything?
Well, that is unfortunately an issue. GameStops are not doing well. They in my area, I believe every single one of them is closed. I don't think there's one anywhere near me anymore. They're all gone because everybody just downloads the games now. But I would fight against that because I would say yes, you can download the games. But my theory is that if we do that, then there's no competitive reason for these companies to ever lower their game prices all that much.
Right.
And sometimes those trade-ins were you got screwed on the trade-ins, but at least it was something for your game. It was some sort of value.
Yeah, for sure.
Now you got zero. Now it just sits on your fucking hard drive or you delete it.
Sits on the hard drive. Yeah. It's it is every now and then though, if you gander over to the fucking PlayStation store or if you're on the Xbox for some reason, whatever they have on there, sometimes it'll be like today only 97% off. This game is $1.08. And you're like, okay, so that does happen.
Yeah,
where that would,
but that's usually just bad games that aren't selling or old or really, really old games.
Sometimes they're doing. Sometimes you get a surprise weird deal where you're double checking to make sure you're not getting hustled. But yeah, that's that's probably why this GameStop is only open for like an hour a night, 3 nights a week, and otherwise has the iron gate pulled down next to the emergency dentist. There was also this was weird. There was a beverage holder, like a fast food beverage holder in the waiting room with 4 McDonald's Cokes. Only one had a straw in it, and it was like half drank. The other 3 were full and the straws weren't open, and it was just sitting there. So I don't know if someone just abandoned ship and aborted the mission.
4 Cokes?
There were 4 Cokes there, and I'm like, all right, well, maybe they're in the office, maybe they're with a kid or something. But when we came out, the 4 Cokes were still sitting there, and now like the ice was starting to melt, and there was condensation outside the cups. Because we had a whole conversation about these McDonald's cups
and how long they had been there.
Paperwork.
And, if
we're trying to fill out the backstory of these mysterious
and you were probably
McDonald's
there longer
cups.
than most normal patients, because I would imagine the cleaning, if like somebody came in for a cleaning, which by the way, showing up to a dentist cleaning with 4 Cokes, McDonald's Cokes is quite the flex anyway. But if you were there for a clean, you should have presumably left already. If those 4 Cokes were there at the beginning, by the time you were done with your surgery, they should have been gone by now.
Well, we also looked around and knew we were in trouble because all over the walls were these they had these things hanging up saying, give us a 5-star review, get a free electronic toothbrush.
Oh God.
So they're like bribing for reviews too.
Like restaurants do appetizers, give us a review and we'll give you 4 mozzarella sticks or whatever. Yeah.
But this is a fucking dental practice.
Dentist's office, yeah. Review us on Yelp and get an electronic screening. That is worrisome. I don't like that at all. I don't like that.
Free $10 no-name electric toothbrush if you give us a $5
I don't like that.
review.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah, it was a bad sign. Again, it was a bad sign, but this was the only place I could get.
It seemed like they did good work. You're doing well. You're talking. You're doing audio. Must have been okay.
I mean, I don't think I have an infection yet or anything like that.
I think you'd know by now.
He gave me the prescription gimmick, for the gimmick with the gimmicks for the infection. I've been taking those every 8 hours on the hour. He gave me a useless ibuprofen prescription. I mean, I can go buy Motrin, sir, but okay, I guess I'll, take advantage of this. But yeah, and now I'm here and I'm ready to do some fucking audio.
Let's do some fucking audio then. Let's talk about it because we got a lot of wrestling to get to tonight. We are going to review Action Wrestling Dean 2. So last week, when you were not here, I had Matt Griffin on, the CEO of Action Wrestling, on to talk about the booking of the Dean show, putting the shows together, a little bit of background about his, Action Wrestling and getting into wrestling booking and some just kind of philosophical things about booking independent wrestling. And because he was on the show, I didn't want to do a review of the show that he booked. I didn't want to be like, this match you had really sucked. I don't really, not that I thought any matches on Dean sucked or whatever, but that was not really the time or the place to be like, hey, so tell me about this match. Like, I can't have it.
You're in an awkward position.
Right.
Of either having to insult him or having to kiss his ass and have all the listeners make fun of you for a week.
Exactly. So I decided I'm not going to review the show. I'm just going to kind of generally talk about the show. And then you said, hey, you didn't really review Dean. Do you want to do that this week? And I said, sure. So let's do that.
You would have gotten a week's worth of messages like, yeah, right, Rich. Like you really liked Rhino versus Mandy.
Right. And that is exactly the match where I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, that's the one. That is the one. Also, Matt Mako and Lee Moriarty I didn't really like either. But so it would have been a very weird thing to do. So instead, we are going to do it here on this show. So we'll review Action Wrestling Dean 2, which is still free to watch on the ROH YouTube channel. We are going to talk about the Best of the Super Junior Finals. Kosei Fujita versus Yo in the Best of the Super Junior Finals, as well as what's ahead for the Dominion card. Dominion on June 15th. We'll also jump into WWE. 2 shows from WWE this week. 2 shows on Saturday, in fact. We have WWE Money in the Bank 2025. The most recent will be on Peacock, of course. It'll be the pay-per-view, PLE, if you will. A 4-match Levex special this time. He's like, 5? No. 4. How about I do 4 matches in 3 hours? So that is going to be Saturday night. And then Saturday afternoon, the very interesting show that I cannot wait to talk about. And there is a preview right now up at voicesofwrestling.com from Lucha Blog and Cubs fan. It is the WWE AAA Worlds Collide show. So it's going to be our first look at the WWE AAA partnership. So be interesting to talk about that show and some of our thoughts on that. But let's begin here with what has been the big news of really the last week, I think, and really the last week and a half, as more and more of this is coming out and kind of a changing of the guard in the way that WWE does a lot of this business, is a lot of major free agent news and discussions. So some of the names that we're going to talk about here: Mariah May, R-Truth, Abadon, Bear Bronson, Carlito, Valhalla, Alex Kane, Karrion Kross, The Miz, all of those we're going to talk about in the context of this little discussion here. But let's start off first with some of the WWE ones. And in this case, I guess an AEW departure and a WWE arrival, it is the glamorous one, FKA Mariah May. We don't have a name for her just yet. She debuted on NXT. I talked about it on an episode of Flagship Plus, kind of broke down the debut segment on NXT on Flagship Plus, by the way, flagshippatreon.com if you want to listen to that. And didn't get your thoughts, though, about Mariah May or FKA Mariah May. I'm just going to call her Mariah May. We're just going to call her that because we don't know what her name is just yet. So we're going to go with Mariah May. Your thoughts about, obviously, her AEW departure, something that we saw coming a long time ago, and then how quickly she popped up here in NXT. What'd you think of how quickly things moved with Mariah May?
Yeah, I feel like we've talked about this before because it was pretty much an open secret that her desires were to one day end up in WWE. And, I thought that, and we've talked about this, that we both thought that loss to Toni Storm with the non-subtle "the end" on the video board at the pay-per-view was just the perfect end to her run. And, I even said that even if she has time left on her deal, I wouldn't bring her back to do any other jobs. I thought that it was perfect. And yes, I'm sure, and we now know that Toni did want to keep her. So if she wanted to sign another deal or extend before her deal came up, that's a completely different scenario. Okay, you want to keep her, keep her. But if she was dead set on not re-signing, which is what it turned out to be, it doesn't seem like that there was any reasonable money offer that would have kept her around. Then I would have played it exactly how Toni played it, and I would have never brought her back. I wouldn't have brought her back to do a job for Mina or anybody else because I thought it was the perfect ending to her 2-year or 18-month, whatever it was, long arc with Toni Storm to tell that story from start to finish, have her lose in the end, and now she's just written off and she's gone. And as we talked about at the time, it's I think it's healthy in pro wrestling sometimes to just have your run, tell a great story, and move on to the next place. And that's what she's done. And I think this is one of those situations where it's the best for all parties involved. AEW told a neat and tidy story, and it got Toni Storm to another level, so they win. Mariah wins because she's at the place that she ultimately wants to be. And WWE wins because I think she's better suited for WWE. She was very well suited for that storyline with Toni Storm, but I think her skill set and what she brings to the table and what she is as a performer fits WWE better than it fits AEW. And at the top of the AEW's women division right now are a bunch of fucking monsters, killers who work Toni Storm and Jamie Hayter and Mercedes and Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander and Thekla. I mean, these are beasts. These are wrestlers that work a certain kind of style. And I'm not saying Mariah can't work that style. We saw her have bloody brawls with Toni and all of that. But I think she's best suited with her skill set for the other company and the company that she'd rather be in anyway. So to me, this is one of those scenarios where everybody wins. There's no losers here to me.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is kind of the same stuff that we said about Jade. Now, we obviously thought that WWE was going to, be able to maybe maximize Jade a little more than they have, and obviously that didn't happen, but that was a very similar one where and we had the exact same thoughts, and I think we talked about this actually, I think on our Instant Reaction Live about Grand Slam Australia when there were some rumblings that might be Mariah's last match in AEW. It was, if you're Tony Khan, you obviously want to keep Mariah May. She's 24 years old. You just told a really good story with her. You see her as a potential, future, cog in your women's roster, whatever. But, if ultimately what you do is you go to the negotiating table, you say, here's the offer to keep you. And if she says no, or I want more money or whatever, you say, all right, well, thank you so much for your work. We told a great story. Good luck in your future endeavors. Maybe we can do work, maybe we can work again somewhere down the road or whatever. And you let her go. It's not
gonna hurt AEW at all.
No, you don't go, oh my God, and go to the negotiating table and empty and go, we have to keep Mariah May. We have to do it. Here's more money. Here's this. It's simply you offer her a reasonable deal to keep her. And if she says no, you just say, okay, well, that's fine. You want to go to WWE? That's fine. We told it. We did exactly what we needed to do with you. And I agree. I agree that this was, and we've talked about it a bunch, a perfect story arc. And I wish more people would get used to this in wrestling, and they're not going to get used to this now, and they're not going to be Mariah's not going to be the one that people are going to get used to it with. They didn't get used to it with anybody else that's been a departure, because these departures are culture war things and all this stuff. But it would be so nice if all wrestling fans, and this is asking a lot, would just sort of understand that movement like this is very good. And like you said, there's nothing bad about what AEW did with Mariah May. Like, does it suck that they're losing a 24-year-old woman, a woman that has, a ton of potential? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but they couldn't have used her any better.
Out of her that they could have gotten
exactly.
Out of her.
They got everything that you could possibly do. You told a great story from A to B to C, and then what you did at the end is you said, all right, who's sticking around? She's going to get the rub from Mariah May. You got Mariah May up to a level where she made somebody that was already on your roster a bigger star in Toni Storm. So you send Mariah off on her way. Toni Storm is a bigger star than she has ever been. And the other thing, too, is Toni Storm's still only 29 years old as well. So it's not like you used a 24-year-old to get a 38-year-old over. No, you used a 24-year-old to get a 29-year-old over to a level that she hadn't been over in that company yet. And now what's happening is we're bleeding right into Mercedes Moné, and it's like the biggest women's match that this company's ever had.
Yeah, and their division happens to be very stacked right now.
Right.
You've got, I didn't even mention, like, a lot of people think Athena can be something if she ever comes to the AEW side of the roster. And, and I didn't even mention Megan Bayne, who a lot of people are high on. And right now, that's also a factor here. Their division's so stacked. I really don't think losing Mariah May is going to hurt them at all. So you told a great story. She's gone. That's that. I think it's funny, though, how WWE, they don't waste any time anymore, because her debut was a carbon copy of when they brought Ricky Starks in. Remember, they didn't name him. We all know who that is.
It's him. He's here.
Yeah. So we all know, she's going to get a new name. They're going to change the name. I don't know why they're holding on to this antiquated policy of adjusting these names. And it's not really that big a deal, because if these people go on to become stars, you always adjust to the new name, no matter how bad it is. The bad ones come across very poor at first, and everybody makes fun of them. But you eventually get used to the new names. Although I don't think I'll ever stop saying every time I say Ricky Starks.
Oh yeah, I can't say Ricky Saints.
That's a hard one. Yeah. That's a hard one to get used to.
It took it took you and I about 7 years to stop saying Kevin Steen, but I think we're good now. I say Kevin Owens now, but it took a long time to not say Kevin Steen.
Well, once I started saying Jimmy Suzuki, he went back to Yosuko and Susumu, and now it's like, now I say Jimmy Susumu all the time. So yeah, it's just, they don't waste any time. Like, the day these people are available, they're bringing them in before they even have the IP fucking ink dry on what they're going to call these people. And I'm not sure what the rush is in these instances to get them on TV before you even have a name for them, let alone a plan. But, that's the way they do things now. We'll see what kind of goofy name they come up with for her. But, I don't know. I feel like we've talked about this one before, and we ended up being exactly right as to how it all played out. And, I guess we just reiterated it here today.
Yeah, more or less just kind of, hey, we kind of called this thing about, what was that, back in February, I think, at Grand Slam Australia. Like I said, we were doing that instant reaction live, and I think there were rumblings at that time, and especially at the end of that match when it just literally on the screen said the end. It was like, well, that seems pretty definitive that that's going to be the end. So yeah, we talked about that. That might be the time to just tell Mariah May, okay, we're done. That's it for you. We're good. So as far as the NXT debut for Mariah May, that's one last thing, and then we'll move on to some of these other free agencies. We always talk about Paul Levesque and his very limited ideas. He is the Booker of the Year, but he's got like 3 or 4 ideas. One of those is debuting people, which is probably a big reason why the rush is to get somebody, because that's one of the big ideas. Is we sign somebody, we debut them, and that gets them a bunch of buzz and oxygen for a little while, and it's not very sustainable, but then the next person to debut or sign or whatever, when he reassumed power in WWE, that's what all he did for like 2 straight months was the old Infinity Gauntlet thing. Like a bunch of new people came in. So that's kind of the other strategy too that he's doing with a lot of these NXT debuts, is get these people out here as quickly as possible so we can get that buzz and get that oxygen out and then we'll figure everything else out later. But what I found really interesting is that how easily everybody just accepts people debuting without names and people debuting without any real, no plan, no no real concept of what this person's going to be, or the fact that they're just literally the AEW characters moved on over to NXT. I just find it really interesting that happens. And the flip side of it, we looked at the Tekla debut a couple of weeks ago, and everybody's screaming and crying about there's no video package. Nobody knows who this person is. They didn't announce it. They didn't give Excalibur enough time to announce who it was. And yet Mariah May debuts, quote unquote Mariah May, and it's just, Corey Graves making noises and going, oh, look who it is, and that's enough. That's like, oh wow, look at that. What a great debut. It's just funny how, again, like we talk about this culture war, AEW debuts somebody and it's somebody, an international wrestler, and it's like, oh, nobody knows who that is. You got to make a video package. Right. You got to tell who it is, and then it's Mariah May.
We need Excalibur to read their Wikipedia page before they come out,
right? Like, because that was the criticism of the Tekla debut, is that Excalibur only had 15 seconds to run down Tekla's entire career, and it's like, we don't need that. We it's fine, it's okay. They did a video package this week on Dynamite to introduce her a little more. She had a match.
Maybe you know what? And maybe sometimes the mystery's good.
Of course, absolutely.
Who the fuck is this? I've never seen this before. And I'll learn more about. Sometimes it's a good thing to have a little mystery.
I always think it is. I think it's really cool to have somebody come out, treat it like a big deal, and let your audience try to, kind of figure it out on their own a little bit. The crowd's reacting.
Listen, these are baby-brained, tribalistic losers,
right.
Is what these are. There's no consistency.
No, and then it was clear this week, because then it was like, what a debut from Mariah May, and I'm like, well, hold on a minute. I saw these same people getting so upset at AEW, fake upset, obviously, about Tekla, and Excalibur didn't read her whole Wikipedia. We don't know who she is. Who is this woman? Why is she here? And then it's like Mariah May comes out, and it's just like they make noises.
And she doesn't even have a name.
She doesn't have a fucking name. They go, it's her. Look at it. Oh, NXT is glamorous. And then she just kind of said, NXT just got glamorous. And then it was it. And then we just go back to black. And it's like a 20-second thing, and we're over. But that's a magnificent, amazing debut. And Tekla's confusing, and nobody knows what's happening. Again, it's just like,
You're dealing with baby-brained, tribalistic 19-year-olds. They don't... But there's another aspect of this that is interesting, too. It's that those are the same people that will tell you that nobody watches AEW and it's dying. Yet when somebody jumps from AEW, they lose their fucking shit. They shit their pants.
They're the biggest stars.
And they can't. Right. So there's an inconsistency there too. Well, make up your mind. Either nobody's watching and nobody cares about Ricky Starks or Mariah May or whoever the fuck, or you're excited because of all the fine work that you've seen them do over the last however many years that they were in AEW. You can't have both. You have to pick a lane.
Well, and I talked about that in the Flagship Plus, too. It's like a lot of these people, Tony doesn't know what he's doing. Tony Khan's a terrible booker. He's a terrible businessman. He sucks. He can't do this. And yet everybody that debuts from this company is a megastar, and they basically just debut them as their AEW characters. Right. Cody just came over, not as Stardust, not as the mustachioed Cody Rhodes. I forget what he was, dashing Cody Rhodes. He wasn't, he came in as AEW Cody Rhodes. And didn't change a thing. Gave him the same music, same robe, same everything, and just said, that's who you are. You are AEW same Cody Rhodes.
Same exact
Now
guy.
You're here. And they've pretty much done that with Ethan Page. They've pretty much done that with Ricky Starks.
Ethan Page, same exact guy. Sean Spears, same exact guy.
Jade Cargill. Yes, Sean Spears wasn't Ty Dillinger. He came back as Sean Spears.
They even ditched the WWE name with him and used the AEW name. Okay, and I know he was, but in ECW, WWE ECW, he was something Spears.
Gavin, right? Wasn't he Gavin Spears?
Gavin Spears or something like that, but nobody remembers that. Jade Cargill is a perfect example. So if Tony's this awful booker and AEW doesn't get anybody over and AEW fumbles everybody, why did they just come in under their AEW personas and these fans all shit their pants when it happens? Because, again, they're baby-brained liars. They're just tribalistic assholes.
Right.
And
you're either lying or you're dumb. Pick one.
Right. We end up wasting oxygen on these people when most of them aren't serious people to begin with. I mean, Ricky Starks might be called Ricky Saints now. He's the same goddamn character. It's the same thing he's been doing since I saw him on the Indies 11 years ago. It's no different. And again, it's another example. Ethan Page was a great one. And now this one, Mariah May. They must have said glamorous 175 times in the 30 seconds that she was on the screen. So, that goes to what it tells you more than anything. Set aside the dopes on social media. We all know that they're clowns. What it does tell you, though, is WWE acknowledges that AEW is a legitimate force and a star-making machine. That's what it tells you more than anything else. Forget the fans that are never going to be honest and never act in good faith in these conversations. Fans are always going to be fans, and they're picking their sides. It tells you that WWE sees value in these people coming over because of what they had done on national TV at the other place. They recognize that Mariah May was a drawing star in that program with Toni Storm, and as a consequence, they're trying to retain as much as that persona as they can, while giving her while coming up with their own intellectual property, and altering the name slightly. So her first name will probably be May, and then she'll have another last name or something.
Right.
Or
Mariah, Mariah March or something. You know what I mean? Just like, you're right. It'll
Mary
probably May Valentine or something. Some stupid. Who knows what it's going to be? But.
Cindy Sizzletits. I don't know. But
Cindy Sizzletits. That'll work. The glamour. Or they'll just call her the glamour. She'll just be the glamour. The glamorous one, the glamour.
Sure. If Tony Khan won't oppose that, they should just call her the glamour. Yeah. But I don't know if that's like some kind of nobody can trademark Mariah May because she had gone by that previously, right? Or they can if she lets them.
Right, if she signs that away, which she should probably not.
if you go the Kurt Stallion route, then yeah, maybe they can. But the idea is Tony probably doesn't have Mariah May trademarked, but he might have the glamour trademark, right? So it's like you might not be able to go down that road. For what it's worth, I mean, the last time I asked Ricky Starks why they changed his name, he doesn't even know. For what it's worth. That was months ago when I asked him, but he doesn't even know. He's like, he just goes with the flow. All right, you're going to call me Ricky Saints. I'm Ricky Saints now, I guess. He didn't know. He might know now. Yeah. But they just want their own IP.
It's just what they do, yeah.
It is what it is. So, yeah.
So some other ones, big name ones, this came out on, I believe it was Saturday, a bombshell, Joe, an unbelievable bombshell. It was either Friday or Saturday, I forget. R-Truth, Ron the Truth Killings is not necessarily released, and I guess we could talk about this because there's a kind of a new thing that's going on in WWE. They're essentially ahead of time telling people we're not going to renew your contract, and they're allowing these people to go on social media and say, hey, WWE's not going to renew my contract, so when my contract's done in a month or whenever, 90 days or whatever, I'll be a free agent. But that's kind of the new thing. So instead of releasing people, they're essentially just saying we're not going to renew you, so, we're not going to use you. We're not going to renew you, so you're gone, basically. And that
they're not doing the "we wish you well in your future endeavors" press releases or tweets anymore either.
Yeah.
So they're making the reporters do the work and find out. So, and that's been the way for the last couple round of cuts. I guess that's a new TKO / Legental / Nick Khan policy, I guess, where they're not. Because under Vince, they would do the whole future endeavors deal, and you'd get the flurry of tweets and articles on WWE.com and press releases on a Friday, always. Uh-huh. And now they don't bother doing that. We have to find these things out through reporting. And like you just said, this latest round, they're not cutting people and doing the 90-day deal anymore. What they're doing is letting people know ahead of time, we're not going to your contract's coming due soon. We're not re-signing you. So the difference there obviously is there's no 90-day waiting period. When these deals are up, these people are free agents immediately. So do you think that WWE has changed? Now we'll see if it lasts long term, because I think the last round of cuts were legitimate cut. They were releases. The whole Cora Jade, that run
was, yeah. And the one before that too, you had your Cedric Alexanders and those types. Those were releases. Those were 90-day non-compete.
They were 90-day non-compete, and for the NXT people, it was 30-day non-compete. Because the 30 days just came up and we just saw all of them tweet, including Cora Jade. All right, I'm good. You know what I mean? So it's like, but this current round with the people we're going to talk about, every single one of them is, they're not going to renew me. They're going to let my contract run out. So these aren't technically releases. These are just contracts coming due. So, and that was the case with R-Truth. So do you think, my question to you is, do you think they're going to continue doing it this way moving forward as sort of a a way to match the way Tony Khan does it. So Tony Khan doesn't have that negotiation advantage of, when I sign you to a contract, you're going to get paid through the end of that contract. You can sign with them, but you're on a perpetual 90-day rolling deal when you sign with them, because they can cut you anytime and only owe you money for the next 90 days. So do you think it's a competitive situation where they're changing their policy so Tony doesn't have that advantage?
I think there's possibly something to that. What I would like to see is like to see the next round, because we're not that, like you just pointed out, we're not far removed from them just doing straight cuts. I mean, they did straight cuts not that long ago.
A couple months ago. So
I would like to see if the next round comes out and it's very similar to this. Like, so we had this little, a short little spurt of people that we're going to talk about here, including R-Truth. If then, in a couple more months we have another spurt that's like this, then I will say, yes, that has clearly been a bigger change, but they could just go right back to releasing people too, like we saw just a couple months ago. So I would like to see what the next round does, and then I could probably better answer that question. I don't know. This may have just been a specific group of people, and it's a specific group of veterans too, in a lot of ways, that they just thought was a lot easier to just do the we're not going to renew you thing. Like Baron Corbin was one of those as well, where they also just told him we're not going to renew you. They didn't release him. So I think there's merit to what you're saying, but I also want to see if anybody, because right now the trend is if you're an NXT or a lower tier person, we're just going to cut you. And if you're a veteran who's been there for a while, we're going to tell you that we're not renewing you. So I want to see if that flip-flops at any point moving forward, and then I might have a better idea if that's an advantage that they think they have over Tony or AEW.
I guess at some point, if you decide you're not going to renew someone and they have less than 90 days left, you kind of just have to tell them, right? Because you can't just, if someone has 11 days left on their contract, it's you kind of, isn't it just, I know it's TKO, but isn't it the right thing to do to say, hey, you know what, we're not going to come, to the table here. So in 31 days or whatever, you're free to go. Versus my deal's up tomorrow, but it's TV day. What do I do? Right? Are you going to send me a plane ticket to come in to sit in catering, or what's happening here? But yeah, at any rate, I guess we just have to wait it out and see what the next round looks like to see if this is some kind of change in policy, some kind of competitive change in policy. But R-Truth was told they weren't going to renew him. And man, what a 48 hours that was.
My phone blew up like crazy. I was like, what is going on in the world of wrestling? And it's like, okay, R-Truth. What
a massive overreaction. How do we even start to dissect this? All right, so why don't we start with this? The reaction from the roster, I completely understand. By all accounts, he's a great guy. Everybody loves him. Nobody likes to see somebody that you really like, who you work with, get fired, essentially. Get let go or get laid off, and you're not going to get to see them anymore. And you're not going to get to work with them. You're not going to get to hang around with them. You're not going to get to travel with them. They're going to be out of your life. It's almost like you graduate high school, and 98% of those people, you never see them again. You don't realize that on graduation day, but that's the truth of the matter, right? So I understand the tweets and the internal grumbling. I get that. None of that bothered me. What really started to annoy me that day, Rich, here's what started to annoy me. Media people, especially, but to a lesser degree, fans. Fans are fans, and you have to let fans be fans. But so a lesser degree, the fans, but really the media people who should know better. Apparently, I didn't realize that R-Truth was a legend, an all-timer. These are real words and terms I saw used to describe R-Truth. Ron Killings, future Hall of Famer. Maybe their little dopey Hall of Fame that has no standards, but Ron Killings wouldn't sniff any credible wrestling Hall of Fame. Wouldn't sniff it. He would never even be thought of as a candidate for any legitimate wrestling Hall of Fame. The WWE Hall of Fame, we know it doesn't matter. They'll let anybody into that one, and he'll be in that one. I don't have any doubt about that. But I saw him described as a legend. I saw him described as an all-timer. I saw people describing this as an absolute travesty to let this person go. And I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, if R-Truth, if Ron Killings is a legend or an all-timer or a future Hall of Famer, those words don't mean anything anymore, because that means that there's thousands of wrestlers that would also qualify as legends and all-timers. Just because this guy was employed for a long time, and good for him. that he was employed for 17 years or whatever it was. I don't even have anything against the guy. I'm completely agnostic towards Ron Killings.
Yeah, oh yeah. I'm the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. If I never see Ron Killings wrestle again, I couldn't give a shit. But if Ron Killings was with the company 10 more years, I couldn't give a shit either. I don't care about Ron Killings. But you can't throw around words like legend and all-timer. Rich, why isn't it enough? Why isn't it ever enough to just say, oh, R-Truth got cut? Darn, I enjoy watching.
Right. Good guy, good soldier. Who's there 17 years. I'll miss watching him. The end. Tweet over.
Man, you know, I thought Ron Killings was funny. I'm going to miss him on TV. That's a shame. Why do we always have to take it to this next level where we're describing R-Truth as a fucking legend? Like he's Nick Bockwinkel. Okay? Can we stop? Can we pump the brakes? Why can't we just say, yeah, I liked that guy. He was entertaining. What a shame. Ah, darn it. You know, snap your finger, cross it, or throw it across your chest. No, we have to call him an all-timer. It's utterly ridiculous. He's not a legend. He's not an all-time anything. Okay? I would ask any of these people. I would challenge any one of them. Oh, Ron Killings, R-Truth is a legend and an all-timer. Quick, tell me your 5 favorite R-Truth matches. Let's go.
Yeah, right now.
Off the top of your dome.
right there.
Off the top of your dome, I want your 5 favorite R-Truth matches. You can't do it. Okay? I saw someone describe him in the media as an all-timer and one of the funniest people, I'm paraphrasing, one of the funniest people ever in wrestling, an all-timer, and excellent in the ring as well. Really? What are your favorite R-Truth matches then?
Tell me about them.
I'm dying to know. Because there aren't many people on this earth that watch more wrestling than me, and I've been watching this guy wrestle for 25 fucking years, and I can't give you one Ron Killings match that I thought was anything special.
Yeah, I'm trying to, as you prompted that question, my head went, all right, what's my favorite Ron Killings match? What's my favorite R-Truth match?
Forget 5. Give me 1.
Joe, I am racking my brain, man. I don't know. I don't know. Is there one that comes to your mind at all?
No, I can't think of one. I legitimately can't think of one.
I just want one. The entire time you were talking, I wasn't even listening to what you were saying. I'm thinking in my head, all right, come up with one. Just one, Rich. I just need one out of your head, Rich. And my head got nothing. I got nothing for you.
It's this. Now, he was sort of the culmination of this whole thing where whenever WWE lets people go, whether they cut them, release them, let their contracts run out, and for whatever reason, it's more prominent with them than it is with AEW or any of these other companies. Whenever WWE lets people go, it's always some massive injustice. You notice that? It's always, oh, Dakota Kai? Oh, my God. It's like a massive, she wasn't on TV. What did she ever do and I like her. I like her work. But it's like every one of these cuts is a massive injustice, and the company is a massive. Do these people think that if you work for WWE, you are entitled to a job for life? Seriously, do they think you're entitled to a job for life? Do they think WWE can keep hiring people, never let anyone go, and then 5 years from now have a roster with 2,000 people on it? Is that how they think this works in entertainment and sports? Whatever you want to consider WWE, it's a hybrid of sports and entertainment. Both of those businesses are notoriously ruthless, and you very often do not have a job for life, and they're meritocracies. Okay? But there's this new idea that anyone being let go is some massive injustice. This man was a 53-year-old comedy prelim wrestler. If I'm Paul Levesque and TKO tells me you have to cut X amount of dollars, one of the first people I'm looking at is the 53-year-old comedy prelim wrestler who's been there for 17 years and probably has a pretty hefty contract compared to the geek that I just called up from NXT 6 months ago. Now, I understand with him, there's some mitigating circumstances. Popular with his coworkers, morale, those things matter. I'm not telling you they don't. Okay? Maybe they could have kept him around for those reasons. But he had to go sometime. You don't get a job for life in this business. You just don't. It's not an injustice when these people get let go. It's not. Stop treating it like a funeral. Nobody likes to see people lose their jobs, but these people know what business they're in too. Okay, they don't understand they're in the entertainment business. They're not working down at the mill. Okay, so I'm sorry, I have less empathy. I don't have no empathy, but I have less empathy than when the fucking factory down the street lays off 200 people. That's different. They chose this life, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Killings family will be eating just okay for the.
Well, that guy has plenty. He's got to have plenty. Ron, somebody made this point in our Discord, so I'm not going to try to claim it as my own. Ron Killings has been under a national television wrestling contract for at least the last 20 years of his life.
I think, starting in, I believe he had a WWE developmental contract starting in 99 and had main roster contract in
longer, like 25 years.
Because he debuted in fall of 2000 in WWF. And then obviously went from WWF to TNA, and then from TNA back to WWF. So yeah, pretty much since the year 2000, the guy's been getting paid.
20 years is selling it short. This man has been under a pro wrestling contract for a quarter century. He's not standing on a breadline today. Okay? And I'm not saying it's like you should jump for joy when people get. Of course not. Okay, but it's not always some massive injustice.
It's what's happened here is the whiplash of the Levesque era is finally getting seen, because when he got brought in, and this was his own doing as well, he rehired a lot of people that recently got released, and it was, oh my God, look at that. He's righting the wrongs. Vince McMahon would fire people, but Triple H brings them back because he's wants the family together and all, that, and that's absolutely what they sold. And they sold it to, don't make any. They sold it too. WWE sold it as the same thing. The Bad Man Gone meme that we always use, they sold that as well. Because the first thing he did when SummerSlam, right? That was the first show where he had, the highest power that he had ever had in the company, and Vince McMahon was out of the picture. And the first thing he does was bring Dakota Kai back and bring, and that whole thing. That was, the idea was, Bad Man Gone, I'm here, I'm bringing everybody that he fired back, that unjustly was fired back, and now I'm bringing them back in the fold. And now that they're owned by TKO, now there's this new thing that, it can't be Paul Levesque that's released these people. It must have been TKO that made him do this. Remember? Or there was the thing a couple years ago where, Nick Khan must have been the one that made the call that this guy had to get fired or whatever. And it's like, oh, come on. What are you doing here? Like, but again, that's the whiplash effect. So I think we're feeling it now. And I saw that a lot of the texts that I got were like people saying, oh, geez, I thought Triple H was different. He fired R-Truth. I thought it was a different era. He's just like Vince. He's just like his dad. It's like, yeah, he runs a wrestling company. Like, I don't know what you want to. I don't know. What the hell do you want out of this guy? Like, you have to let people go at some point. And if your overlords say, I need you to release X amount of millions of dollars in salary, like you said, R-Truth's the first one. I sort by age and I sort by contract and I sort by, where you are in the pecking order. And I go, yeah, okay, the guy making X amount of millions, he was probably in the millions. We know that he wasn't making $100,000 a year. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of that guy first. I'm going to get rid of a few other people that are lower in the pecking order and they're older, whatever. But again, this is the kinder, gentler, Bad Man Gone era. We're done with that. I think that's now, there's the realization that people are waking up and realizing, oh, no, it's the same company that it's always been. It's just, now Paul Levesque's in charge. So this idea that he kept this thing as one big happy family, it's not true. And I think the facade is being broken, and I think a lot of people are lashing out because of that.
It's like the entire WWE fan base is a bunch of empaths. I mean, what the fuck is going on here? You can't cut somebody without it being some massive injustice. It's wild to me. Empaths aren't a real thing, by the way, but not recognized by the psychological community, but you get what I'm saying.
I got you. To me, it was the media more.
Empaths and sapiosexuals are fake. I don't care what anybody says, but we can.
I have no strong opinion one way or another, so we can move on. But
because you're tugging your collar and you don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, whatever. No, it was the media that got me more. The one that really made me laugh the most. It speaks to what you said, like, oh, an all-time great in-ring worker. And it's like, okay, name one good R-Truth match ever. The one that I loved was Mark Henry on Busted Open said that Raw should be an R-Truth memorial or tribute show. The man's alive. He's not dead. And and that every wrestler should do a spot in their match that tributes or honors R-Truth.
And I'm like, Henry?
Wait, this was Mark Henry on Busted Open.
He went a step further. He didn't just suggest wrestlers sneak in some Ron Killing spots, which would be one thing. He flat out said that they should do a tribute show for him.
Oh, he did actually say a full-on tribute show?
Yes, he did.
Oh, God.
For Ron the Truth Killings. I mean, again, you're putting me in a position to knock the guy's career when you overdo it like this and claim that he's some kind of legend. He may be a legend he might be a legend in the locker room. I don't have any doubt of that but to the audience, he's a comedy prelim wrestler who's been been pushed like 2 or 3 times in 17 years. And when have they ever done tribute show? The guy didn't die. People, he didn't die.
He's gonna be okay.
You almost felt like he died this week.
You saw tweets that looked like, I mean, some of those tweets I was seeing from his coworkers and the media was like, there will only be one. And it's like, I'm reading it. I'm like, what is it? The guy got released, guys. It's like,
you don't do a tribute show for someone who got released.
You're going to do a 10-bell salute for him while he's standing on the rim?
He didn't die, Mark.
Okay.
He didn't pass away, Mark. If he passed away, you can do the whole 2 hours for all I care. He deserves it. You don't do a tribute show for someone who got cut.
Oh, God.
Why would you shine attention on that? You've already got people chanting his name in the arena. You're going to do a tribute show for the guy? Mark Henry's lost. But like someone just said in the chat, though. It's like someone just said in the chat, though. This is the same guy who marked out when they sent him a fucking Christmas card. When the company sent him a Christmas card a couple years ago, the generic Christmas card that they sent to everyone on their mailing list of WWE Legends contract people. Do you remember that, Rich?
Oh, yeah. No? And the card was like the most low effort card ever. It had like the WWE logo on the front. It was just like Merry Christmas from WWE. And it was like all these geeks tweeting like, it's so nice to be loved. Thank you at WWE.
He did a whole ass video from his car. He went and got his mail, and he's in his car, and he's like, "It feels good to be recognized." He was saying, "It's like, dude, you got they bulk mailed 150 of these to save on the fucking mailing. Number one, because I know something about bulk mailing from my former line of work, and it wasn't personalized, and if it was just printed. Merry Christmas, Mark." From WWE, and the next person said, "Merry Christmas, Jim," from WWE, and he's acting like, this is the great, so I'm not surprised that he thinks that they should do a 2-hour tribute show to a 53-year-old comedy prelim wrestler whose contract is running out. I mean, people went fucking insane for 2 days when it came to this. So I don't know. Bizarre to me. I can totally see TNA wanting to bring him in, especially off of all this attention he just got for all this sympathy with the release. But I don't know if that's a little too close to home with their relationship with WWE. I mean, they've brought in other ex-WWE people, but that would be, I don't see AEW bringing him in.
Oh, God.
I don't see that as a fit. Could you bring him in? Is there a world where Tony also thinks he could capitalize on this a little bit? But here's the thing. The further we're removed from it, the less it's going to matter, right? Like, maybe if you brought him in the next night on Dynamite. But the thing is, do the AEW fans have this same sentimental feel for R-Truth that allegedly these WWE fans have? Probably not. So I don't see that as a fit. I obviously don't see Japan as a guy's 53 years old, so I would think TNA would be like his only possible landing spot. I don't know. Is there a chance they bring him back based on this fan?
I don't think so.
Response or anything? I don't think so either. It's.
I think they're going to let the fans get it out of their system for a little bit, and then it'll be good by in a week or two. No one will care anymore. So,
in all seriousness, though, do you see this? Okay, so if R-Truth's contract would have expired at the height of the bloodline, right? When things were super hot and Cody was on fire and all that, I don't think it makes any difference whatsoever, and I'm not even sure that this response is the same. But do you think what could have contributed to this response was things aren't going so hot in that company right now, where even their hardcore fans are a little annoyed at a lot of different things, and this may have been just another straw contributing to breaking the camel's back? Do you think that has some effect to the response?
I think absolutely. I think it does. I think also the weirdness of him just recently having a match against John Cena and then getting released a week later, or being told that his contract was not going to get renewed a week later. I think that has a little bit of it too. If this was a guy that was just kind of doing his same normal thing that he was always doing and sort of in the background and sort of in the periphery, yes, I think that WWE slipping up in a couple ways and getting some fan backlash like they haven't had in a long time definitely contributes to it. But I think it's also weird too, because he was put front and center not that long ago, and now he's gone. So it's kind of this, it's just odd. It's very weird. But there's no doubt about it that the fan sentiment, the vibes, whatever you want to call it,
the vibes,
they're changing a little bit. They definitely are. Good. That this you would not get fans. This is old WWE fan shit. This is the stuff that we always talk about, where those fans, a lot of those fans have left. This is we're going to chant CM Punk at the show, not because we want Phil Brooks back, but because we think what's happening on the show sucks. Those fans all, and we talked about that, those fans all kind of left, or they went to AEW, or they just kind of got it out of their system, or whatever. Those fans are very different than the normal current 2025 WWE fan base. But I think what's happening now is the current 2025 WWE fan base is starting to kind of see it's not all bright and it's not all cheery. And I think they're a little cranky. They're a little annoyed. They're a little, like you said, the vibes are sort of shifting to where, we thought this was one big happy family and bad man God and all that sort of stuff. And now we're starting to see that, starting with maybe WrestleMania or maybe even a little bit before that, the things are not great. I mean, I think one of the big issues, and I guess it relates to the R-Truth thing, is that the Cena thing was supposed to be this revolutionary, big time, great story, the greatest heel turn of all time. Remember what I said when everybody said this is the greatest heel turn of all time? I said, let's see the follow-up. We don't know if it's the greatest heel turn of all time because we haven't seen the follow-up. Was the angle great? The angle was undoubtedly great. But to be a great heel turn, you need to follow up. There needs to be good stories afterwards. There needs to be good stuff. The reason the Hulk Hogan heel turn was great is because the NWO followed and a business boom followed right after that. That made that a great heel turn. I think a lot of people got really excited about what the Cena heel turn was going to be, and it's not good at all. And they don't have any ideas for this heel turn either.
It's The Rock's fault that John Cena is a terrible heel.
Right. You're right. It is The Rock. I knew it was The Rock's. God damn it, I knew it was The Rock. Fuck.
Everything is The Rock's fault. It can't be John Cena's fault that John Cena is a terrible heel. It can't be Paul Levesque's fault that he booked a shitty WrestleMania main event finish. It's everything is The Rock's fault, you see. But I think that tone is kind of shifting too. I mean, Levesque is going to be the last domino to fall because he has wisely positioned himself as the face of all the change. And really, he's wisely positioned himself as the godfather of all this. And they don't really want to come for Levesque. So they're coming for TKO. They're coming for Nick Khan. They're coming for John Cena. They're coming for everyone except for Levesque. But eventually, if we keep going down this path, they're going to have to come for him. You can't keep saying nothing is that guy's fault. You can't keep playing in that game, especially when, if you really examine it, who was the brains behind the bloodline? It was Paul Heyman. We all know that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Who started? It was
also a story that started before Paul Levesque was in power. Yeah.
Right? Who started the bloodline? Vince McMahon. That started under Vince. Who inserted Sami Zayn into the bloodline? Vince. And then they took him out and realized they had to put him back in because he was so good. It's who injected life into last year's WrestleMania? The Rock. It's like, what does Levesque do? He does this. He does the same. Unit is at odds. Units aren't getting along with each other.
We're doing 3 of those right now in WWE, like 3 or 4 of them right now.
They put people together just so they could have dissension, and he put together Damage Control, and and what else? What does he do? All the shit that people loved in that. See, who brought Cena in and said, we're going to bring you in, we're going to keep you the same, and we're going to rocket pack you, and you're going to win the title? Vince.
Cody. Who brought Cody in and did that? You said Cena.
Cody. What did I say?
You said Cena.
Oh, yeah, I meant Cody, obviously. So it's like, and now Heyman, who do you think's the driving force between this new Heyman stable?
Yeah,
Heyman or Levesque?
Yeah, who do you think?
I mean, yes, Levesque technically is fucking checking off on everything. But I think eventually people start seeing through this stuff. And eventually they're going to come for him if things don't, SmackDown is 3 hours and it's terrible. Who put Road Dogg in charge? That's something Levesque can get credit for. Who put that guy in charge? Levesque. And the show's terrible. And their fans hate that show. So, I don't know. Eventually they're going to see, right? That this guy is like, what did we start to see with him at the end of the NXT tenure? It's like, it's always the same shit over and over with him. Right? And he was getting by on what was he getting by on all those years in NXT? Signing the hot new shiny
debuts.
indie toy.
Yeah, shining a hot new indie toy and debuting him.
Yeah. And the hot new international toy, the hot new indie toy. Low pressure, no stakes in NXT. Didn't matter if it made money or not. So he had that kind of freedom as well. He had the instant when it's time for someone to go, you could just beat them because they're going to go to the main roster. He had it so easy down there. And now that he's been in this seat, he's been in the big seat for a while now. And a lot of the long-term plans and booking that was put in place before he got the position that he just rode the wave. He jumped in and rode the wave. And then the bloodline petered out. And then they eventually took the title off of Cody. And now, the second wave of the bloodline, which he is responsible for, Solo Sikoa, didn't work. So now what? Fans are discontent. Fans are questioning whether the Renaissance era is over. Did you see this? They're saying the Renaissance era is over. We're now in the Netflix era, and it's not good.
Yeah, if they're changing eras, that's not good. The Renaissance era, that's not good.
A lot of them are giving up on the Renaissance era. They're like, it's over. So eventually we'll stop blaming The Rock for everything, and we'll look at the real. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. That was our truth.
Let's go to Carlito. Let's do Carlito.
How do we go from all that to Valhalla? How do we do that?
Then also Valhalla was told that we're not renewing her contract. So that's Valhalla. Yeah, sure. All right. Carlito. They're also told Carlito they're not renewing his contract.
Yeah, so Carlito, if Nick Khan knocks on my office door, my office that was adjacent to Johnny Ace's office, which is adjacent to Janelle Grant's office.
Right, which has a special door. Yeah, which has a secret door.
If Nick Khan knocks on my office door and he tells me, I have to cut X amount of dollars, much like one of the first people I would look at is the 53-year-old comedy prelim wrestler. The next guy I would probably look at is I'm going to throw a guess here, 45-year-old guy who also just does comedy on the show, who we were fooled into hiring because he showed up in Puerto Rico juiced to the fucking gills on every anabolic steroid known to man. And we hired him back for some unknown reason. And then we quickly figured out that, it's just Carlito. And now we're stuck with this fucking guy
right.
who adds nothing to the show, zero, other than at one time telling an offensive joke that they had to cut out of all of their replays of the show and off of social media that they blamed on him and not on the writer who gave him the line. Yeah, he'd be one of the first guys I'd look at too.
46.
Carlito,
46-year-old Carlito.
I was close. And Carlito himself acknowledged that. He put out a very funny tweet.
They must have watched my recent work. So
he put out a tweet that basically said, I've been told I've been stealing money for a year and a half. Well, that ends today because they will be letting me go. He knows.
Yeah, he knows.
He knew exactly what he was doing when he juiced up for 4 months before that show in Puerto Rico because he knew he was going to get the massive pop. So he wanted to make sure that he looked like fucking prime Ivan Putski when he came out there. And he knew they would hire him. Because Triple H is a body mark. And he played them for everything they were worth. And good for him for getting paid for another 2 years or whatever the fuck it was. I think that's the same show where they brought Zelina Vega down there to get squashed.
Yes, they brought her to the Big Pop and then she lost. She cried. So she hugged her mom and then Rhea Ripley beat her ass and then she cried.
Beat her in 4 minutes. Yeah. They squashed her in 4 minutes. And coming to the ring draped in the Puerto Rican flag. So, yeah. So listen, Carlito, all I got to say about that, what a worker. Good
for him. Yeah. Kudos to you, sir. I love.
And I think he said, "I'll see you in another 17 years."
So good. Yeah, it's good. Good for. And he knows he'll just go to Puerto Rico and just make money. You know, he's good. You know, his landing spot. He's not going to even try for TNA. He's not going to try for Indies. He's just going to go back to Puerto Rico.
The money he just made on this run is going to get him through to his senior years now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He made tremendous money for another 2 years.
And all he had to do was stand in the background with his arms crossed in every Judgment Day segment. And just, it's perfect.
Probably right when his first run money started to run out. It all worked out perfect for him. So good.
I love this. Yahoo Sports. I looked up Carlito to find out his age. Yahoo Sports, their headline for Carlito's is, quote, Carlito confirms shocking WWE departure. No, he isn't even shocked by this departure.
Yeah, exactly. He's not even shocked. That's right.
God, what are we doing here? I'm sorry. It was a WrestleZone. It was a WrestleZone article. Yeah, who was just sharing
worse.
it.
They should know better.
They should know better. Here's the lead. In shocking news, Carlito confirmed his WWE departure. Unbelievable. Carlito is gone. I can't believe it either. Valhalla, I have no Valhalla thoughts. You have no Valhalla thoughts. Nobody has any Valhalla thoughts unless you do, but I'd imagine you do not. So let's move on to these other two that are not we don't know these for sure, but there are tea leaves out there. There are rumors. There are kind of rumblings about these two people. We'll start with The Miz. Now, The Miz is another person that, again, if you went to my office, and we've talked about this for about 5 or 6 years, if I was running WWE and at any point you told me, hey, we need to cut a little bit of salary, one of the first guys I look at is The Miz, because we always say you have The Miz in NXT and Grayson Waller. You have a Moneyball Miz waiting for you right there in Grayson Waller. And he is removing some of the WWE stuff from his social media accounts, so people are starting to wonder if maybe that is a tease that he's not going to get renewed or what's going to happen with The Miz. I don't know. There's nothing confirmed on The Miz, so we can't say for certain. But he's another guy that if he got told that, hey, we're not going to renew you, similar to Carlito, I would not be shocked at all if they said, all right, because what are we getting out of The Miz anymore in 2025? We're probably good, and he probably makes an ungodly amount of money for what he contributes. So he'd be another one that would be very high on my list of guys that I would be more than happy to lop off the old PLE or the
he's got to be undoubtedly
P&L report, I guess I should say.
He's undoubtedly a 7-figure guy at this stage.
Oh no! Oh dear God! Of course, yeah. It's just how
you're not getting that back. Look, everyone always with The Miz, they always talk about, but he does all that great PR work, and he does a lot of because he's a good looking guy who wears a suit very well, and he does media and PR work for them. I think that is the most overrated shit. I mean, you can get Nick Aldis to do that. Who gives a shit? I mean, it's good for The Miz that if that has been a contributing factor to keeping him around all of these years and making a lot of money. And he's another guy who, look, he's had a R-Truth length run in that company. I mean, he's been there since the mid-aughts, right? Like 2005 or something like that.
Oh, my God. So, I think 04, I think, is when The Miz first came. Maybe 2003 with the search. I mean, it's been a long time.
Host and Diva search with the words on his wrist, and everybody made fun of him because he had the words written on his wrist.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be 2004, I'd say. Tough Enough. I think it was the 2004-2005 season.
But again, and it's like, we're not calling for people to be released or cut from their contracts, but if we're going to be sensible and non-emotional about these things, and I think that was a big problem with R-Truth. People weren't being sensible and non-emotional about it in their analysis. And if you're going to be sensible and non-emotional, if they must cut people, The Miz is going to get one of the first looks based on what he makes and what he's able to give you back. So, look, I don't know. Nobody knows. I think Sean Ross Sapp said that there's no truth to the idea that they're not renewing him, and he looked into it, and maybe it's been debunked, maybe it hasn't. It's obviously odd behavior to remove all references of the company from all of your social media. Maybe there's a reason he's doing it. Who knows? All I'm saying is if we found out The Miz was not going to be renewed, how the hell could you ever be surprised about that?
People always bring that up about, he does media and stuff. Like, how many people do you think are now are regular watchers of Raw on Netflix because The Miz was in an NBA all-star celebrity game. You know what I mean? Because that's the things that they always point out. Oh, he's always on the MLB like all-star softball game. And it's like nobody wants.
And listen, he is good at that stuff.
Of course he is, but like who cares?
You could get someone else to do that. I mean, he's not the greatest PR person to ever walk the earth. I mean, and he is good at that stuff. And they always say, let's be honest. Another reason they send him to do that stuff is because he's not really needed in the ring. If he was some kind of major star who was going to hurt ratings if he went away, he wouldn't be the one that they would send to do all this shit. So I don't know. To me, if he's one of these guys who they let the clock run out on, if you're being sensible about it, it makes sense.
Now, I'm actually surprised he's lasted as long as he has. But so the Miz is another one that, again, we'll see that, but enough weird behavior that people actually, were thinking it might be related. And then Karrion Kross is another one that it's been out there in the sheets. That Karrion Kross has been, his contract is going to expire very soon. And according to reports, insider reports, he has not been offered a new contract. Joe, I'm starting to wonder. I'm starting to wonder now. Here, I'm getting my tinfoil cap on here. I'm starting to wonder, and see if you follow my train of thought here. And just a wild idea. Just stick with me as I try to come up with this. We talked about, and you had this segment not that long ago. We put it up on YouTube about the propaganda, the Karrion Kross propaganda, where he had that segment on Main Event, that match against Tyler Bate that was a nothing happening match with a nothing happening reaction from a crowd that did not care about him. And all these tweets came out that looked exactly the same with the same verbiage and the same clip. And it was very strange. It was all really weird. It seemed very coordinated, right? Very coordinated approach to trying to gas Karrion Kross up. And then this kind of kept going on. And then people kept talking about Karrion Kross and, oh, he's getting a groundswell of support and WWE is seeing what Karrion Kross can offer, yet he's never wrestling. He's never on TV. He's never doing anything. He's selling a bunch of t-shirts and oh my God, he's a new Daniel Bryan. There's all this weird talk about Karrion Kross. And then this report comes out here that his contract's being, close to being expired. And whoever had this inside information says he has not been offered a contract yet. I'm starting to wonder if those two things are related, Joe. This stoking of the flames of Karrion Kross, and then also the idea that his contract is expiring. He's not been given a new contract. I don't know.
Well, he's always been an excellent self-promoter.
Oh,
is what you're getting at. And,
no, I'm putting a hat on there. I don't know. I'm just saying that maybe that's possible.
But the bottom line with him is how many, they've given him how many chances. He's had so many starts and restarts. They had him in the unit with Akam and Razor and Paul Ellering and and he had the whole hope and pray gimmick at first in NXT. Then they had him in the Farouk Assad helmet. Remember that?
Yes.
They had him in the
I believe it was fall and pray, Joe. What'd you say? You called it hope and pray. I think it was fall and pray.
He's hoping and praying they're going to resign him.
I was going to say the hope and the pray is if I get enough of these fucking dirt sheets to say that I'm awesome, they'll give me a new contract. So
that's all the hope and prayers. But then they had him in the fucking Ron Simmons helmet.
The Farouk Assad gear.
Yeah, he did. He was. Tell me that isn't what it was.
No, it's absolutely what it was. Yeah.
They had him out there doing a Roman gladiator gimmick like it was 1993. Like everything, they keep trying with the guy. And well,
the problem is the bell has to ring, and then that's the big issue with Karrion Kross. Yeah,
isn't any good, and they know he's not any good. He somehow is getting this weird groundswell of support on social media.
Oh, I see.
Okay. It doesn't translate to the buildings or anything like that. I hear all this talk about his dopey t-shirt, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, how hard is it to get on that top 20 hot item list? I don't know the answer to that with the t-shirt. People made a big deal because they were selling his t-shirt at a house show or something. It's like, who cares? Why is this? Who cares?
The next Daniel Bryan. He's got the groundswell of support. He's the next Daniel Bryan, Joe.
So, it would stun no one.
No.
And again, in all seriousness though, with guys like Karrion Kross and guys like R-Truth and some of these other people that get cut, I think what really hurts them is a landscape where ROH doesn't exist in the form it used to exist in because it's simply part of the Tony Khan universe. AAA doesn't exist in the form it used to exist in because it's part of the WWE universe. To some extent, Impact doesn't totally exist in the form it used to exist in because they have to be cognizant of their relationship with WWE. Not that they can't sign these people, but ROH and AAA just simply aren't really options anymore the way that they used to be. And that's two less major league options where people like this would fit in perfectly. Karrion Kross would fit in ROH or AAA like a glove if he were to not be renewed here in this scenario. So it's a few less places for people sort of stuck in this spot to go, where it's pretty obvious that AEW is not going to be interested in these kinds of people. Tony Khan's not going to have any interest in Karrion Kross. Okay? There's nothing he can do with that guy. He doesn't fit. He's not a fit for AEW. So he's basically, what's he going to, he's like Malachi Black, but he can't work. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, what are you going to do with him? He's a spooky guy who can't go. So from that standpoint, I think it's interesting that there's a few less major league places that are viable options.
That's a huge deal. It's bad. I mean, it's bad for the industry, and depending on how you place TNA into that, it really does hurt too, because you can effectively say two of the major league places that you could work. If we're defining ROH as major league, the prior ROH, the pre-Tony Khan ROH.
5 years ago, yeah.
That was a major
ROH
league. I mean, it was owned by Sinclair. Yeah. They were giving out real contracts or whatever. That
place you can get a contract.
Right. I guess a place where you can get a contract. Let's define that as a place you can get a contract. Three out of the however many places you want to say that you can go get a contract once you get released from WWE are effectively gone. Two are definitely gone.
Things have changed a lot.
Right.
Yeah,
things have changed definitely changed in AAA, and things have definitely changed in Ring of Honor, and undoubtedly I think things have changed in TNA. Now, it's not quite as different as it is for Ring of Honor.
They brought in Indy Hartwell, and they brought in Fandango many years later, and people like Nick Nemeth ended up there. It's not like TNA won't sign you, but at the same time, okay, I'll give you an example. If you leave WWE on super bad terms, TNA is not going to touch you now.
Correct. They're enough in the universe that they're, if you go out in a blaze of glory and say, fuck Paul Levesque and fuck Triple H and fuck all that, they're probably not going to hire you in TNA.
Right. So TNA is not totally the same as like ROH, where it's completely a non-entity at this point for free agents, but it's kind of like in a gray zone. Yeah. It's in a gray zone. So you have like effectively 2.5 less places to get a real wrestling contract now. So, and AAA, I'm just assuming that's how that's going to end up turning out. Because look, they don't own it yet. They're going to own it. And then effectively, WWE is not going to cut people and then sign them to AAA. Right. That's the bottom line. No. Because they're going to own it. They're not going to do that. Just like Tony doesn't cut people and then sign them to ROH. It doesn't work like that. It's going to be the same exact relationship. So, it's getting a little, whereas for a while there were way more options and the money was better too, because competition drives up salaries. Now with buying these promotions, and it's a little different. Tony buying ROH was a little different than WWE buying AAA, because if Tony didn't buy ROH, it was going to cease to exist. They were out of business.
They were going away. They were just flat out going away.
They had already folded. So it was either WWE gets the tape library and it never exists again, or Tony gets it and keeps it alive as a satellite company. And that's what we got. Whereas WWE buying AAA completely removes a major league contract promotion from the market. It's just gone. There's one less now where you can go. And CMLL really hasn't. AAA was a better option for Americans to get a deal than CMLL was.
Yeah, CMLL is not bringing in anybody like that. They're not bringing in a Karrion Kross.
Flip Gordon. Outside of Flip Gordon, you'd struggle to name somebody because they don't rely on outsiders as much as AAA does. They're not as open to outsiders as AAA is. So the only real meaningful foreigner that CMLL has hired in years is Flip Gordon. One guy. They're not ever in the market for these free agents. So even the better Lucha option is the one that's off the table in terms of American free agents. So that's something to think about too with these people who get let go. There's just less places for them to go.
Yeah, definitely. Quickly, we'll go over some of these AEW ones. Abadon let go.
We're really not going to break down Valhalla. I was hoping.
Oh, what are your Valhalla takes? Yeah, what do you got?
Thought we can carve out about 17 minutes.
17. All right, I'll start the timer and get you ready. You want me to time it at 17? You think you can do 17 minutes on Valhalla? You think you're that much of a pro at audio?
I think if I had to, I could do 17 minutes on Valhalla. Yeah, because what I would do,
I'm going to take your challenge.
I would start talking about Crazy Mary Dobson and her long storied history.
Just
on
go over the Wikipedia.
Yeah, as I feverishly type it in
right.
to get a starting point. No, I'll be completely honest. I had no idea she was still employed.
I also did not know she was employed.
I guess she was seconding the War Raiders or the War Generals.
I feel like I saw the War Raiders come out and she wasn't there though.
Maybe she
was. She there at WrestleMania with them?
I saw the backup Hangman in our chat. If anyone would know, he's a WWE super fan who loves the product.
Yeah, he loves WWE.
He would know what she was doing on the show. So I want him to pop into the chat when the chat catches up to the audio here. And I think she was seconding the war. Are they the War? What the fuck is their name? Eric and Ivar.
They're the War Raiders, right?
War Raiders, right? Because they changed it back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. She was seconding somebody. She was wearing antlers and shit and had paint all over her face. And now she's gone. And the statement she gave, she's basically saying, I'm done with wrestling. I think I'm just going to go home. I'm going to go home and be Sarah, she said. That's what she said.
All right. Well, good for her.
So, all right, the backup Hangman has popped in, but he's not giving us an answer.
Oh, he just says LOL. Don't come on.
The old LOL. So I don't know.
She hasn't been around. Apparently, she hasn't been around.
The thing about the backup Hangman is I will get DMs from him on like clockwork every Saturday morning. He's like, Joe, did you watch SmackDown? It was fucking great. Joe, don't delete SmackDown.
He loves, SmackDown in particular. He is a blue brand guy.
Oh my God, does he love the blue brand?
All 2 hours and 49 minutes, minus commercials, he's invested in the blue brand.
Yeah,
this upcoming Survivor Series, he's going to wear the SmackDown shirt in alliance with the blue brand.
He will. Yeah, him and that brother of his, I hear they're over there just watching SmackDown. Sometimes they watch it twice, which I don't know where you find 6 hours a week to crush SmackDown twice. But
when you love, you love. You love hard.
Listen, sometimes a booker just connects with you, and I think that
PG James is the one. Yeah.
I think that, the Road Dogg, the Road Dogg and Ibu just see eye to eye they're kindred spirits when it comes to pro wrestling. Ibu and the Road Dogg. That's what it is.
The roadie.
You get those two guys in a room, okay? And it's just, the ideas are just going to be flowing because they just get along too well. It's just like his vision. So, all right. So that's Valhalla. And
not quite 17 minutes, but that's all right. We didn't need to devote 17 minutes. Some AEW ones here. Let's go to AEW here. Abadon and Bear Bronson are gone, or will be gone. I forget what the exact wording on both these ones were, but
so I don't know what Tony's going to do every Halloween when he dusts the mothballs off Abadon.
He didn't do it this year. That was the sign. This last year he didn't do it, and that was worrisome to all of us.
Yeah, that was the tip off. That Abadon was done. Who's the other one?
Bear Bronson.
Oh, Bear Bronson. All right, so the thing with Bear Bronson is I think he obviously got a raw deal because the other guy had the domestic violence thing and got fired, and he was always part of a tag team with that guy. So it's like they had been repackaged once into the awful Iron Savages, which was one of the worst things that AEW ever put on TV. Obviously previous to that, they were Bear Country. And if I were Tony Khan, I feel like whether the other guy didn't get arrested or not, this was probably going to be the end game for both of them because the Iron Savages just weren't working. And Jax Jameson got moved into the Frat House Act anyway.
Yeah.
So they kind of broke up the Iron Savages. So I feel like They already had one repackaged. They had been there a long time, almost 5 years, because I think they were around the pandemic when it came. They were pandemic hires, I think. And obviously, there really wasn't much upward mobility there. I don't think anyone was calling for a push out of either one of these guys. But if I were Tony, just for the optics, I think I would have given this guy another year. I think I would have first of all, he wasn't breaking the bank. He probably had a lower end deal that they could have easily afforded. And it's just kind of a bad look, because it looks like he's not punished, isn't the right word, but it looks like he's suffering consequences because his tag team partner was a jerk off who slapped somebody around and got fired. And I know that's not what this is, but that's the optics of it.
The optics look like, we fired your tag team partner and then we have no idea for you, so just you got to go. You know what I mean?
So now you got to go too. What would have been the harm of giving this guy another year if he would have taken it? What would have been the harm in offering this guy another year? Maybe I should phrase it that way. Okay? And then give him a chance to get up. He has a built-in feud with the frat house, right? You could have done a silly little feud with the frat house on ROH, right? You don't even have to put it on Collision. You're definitely not putting it on Dynamite.
You're not putting that on, but you could do that on, you could do a Jack Jameson, Bear Bronson feud.
Yeah.
For sure.
On ROH. And maybe you give the guy a few months to get over on his own, and he probably wouldn't. But the optics are better. It feels like the right thing to do, is what I'm trying to say. To give the guy another year and give him a chance to do something on his own, instead of this, which looks bad. And I know that's not why they let him. They didn't let him go because his partner got arrested, but the optics just aren't great. Now, he did have some really pragmatic. Bear Bronson had some really good and pragmatic comments. He did some podcast, and I'm paraphrasing him, of course, but he talked about how, he was frustrated because he didn't see a lot of upward mobility there, and all of his friends were moving up and getting pushes, and he was kind of in the same spot, and he wasn't happy about that. And he even said the thing that we say all the time, but he said it out loud. He said, I go to bed every night dreaming of main eventing pay-per-views.
Right.
And
people think we joke when we say that. Every wrestler thinks that they are a push or two away from being a top star in the business.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do it if you're not. You really shouldn't. I mean, honestly, if you're young, that should be your goal. You shouldn't be
right. Yeah, you should be driven to some extent. And he said, look, he even the way he talked, he's like, I understand, like I've been here a while and they're not pushing me, and I'm unhappy because they're not pushing me. And he said he was taking inspiration from Mike Santana, was the person he named. He said he had a chat with Mike Santana, who gave him some, encouraging words, and maybe this guy is going to hit free agency motivated and to do something. And that's great. I'm not buying his stock necessarily, right? It's going to be a show me situation. And, maybe he'll end up somewhere and do some great work. But how many people do you see get let go from NXT or WWE and then you never hear from them again? This is a guy who loves wrestling, and he wants to be a wrestler, and I think he's going to go out there and he's going to work hard. I'll put my name on that. I think Bear Bronson's going to go out there and work hard. Is he going to beyond that? I'm not putting my name on nothing. But I loved the comments, and if people want to go read it, I think I saw it on the Figure 4 Observer site. It was an aggregation of a podcast he did, and I think that everything he said was perfect. So. I don't think he was. I think it was time for him to leave AEW. I don't think he was ever going to get pushed. I think, once you have a repackage and you still don't get over, and we're 5 years in, I mean, what are we doing here?
Right.
I think it's time for both sides to do something else.
And then some other departures in the world of wrestling. I guess MLW, Alex Kane is a free agent now, so he appears to be finishing up with MLW for now as well. And we always talk about how the MLW core roster is very, very small, and anytime they bring somebody else in, they usually have to let somebody go or whatever. But that will feel like a big blow in MLW, because Alex Kane has been one of their pushed commodities and has been one of their stars for a while. So that one's going to be felt more than, Janai Kai or whatever. Even though she was a pushed woman's commodity, the Alex Kane one's going to feel, but they have been kind of downcycling him recently. So I guess I'm not super surprised by that, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's next for Alex Kane.
I got to be honest. I don't think there's going to be much interest. I think that ultimately he's just going to keep working for MLW because I don't see WWE being interested. I don't see AEW being interested. Could TNA kick the tires on Alex Kane? Sure. I mean, that wouldn't stun me at all. But the unfortunate thing for him is I think his contract is coming due at a poor time. If it would have come due when he was a little hotter, there was a time where he was doing the suplex machine gimmick and he really felt like a hot commodity in relation to his peers in MLW. He doesn't feel like that anymore, right? He's kind of cooled off a lot. The other thing about Alex Kane is when I watch him at like WrestleMania weekend or on indie shows, he doesn't stand out. And with someone at his level and where he is, if you're not standing out on indie shows, to me, that's a bad sign. There was a period of time where he was really standing out on MLW, which is a slight step up from the indies. He doesn't stand out in MLW anymore, and he doesn't stand out on the indies. His height works against him, I think.
Always. Yeah, it's always been a big issue for him.
He's a short guy, and he can't control that. And it's not the barrier it used to be, but it's still a thing. So I don't know. I don't see him as someone who's going to garner a ton of major league interest for no pun intended. And ultimately, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's someone who just settles back in with MLW. You know, that's like same thing with like Hammerstone. Now, did he pop up in ROH or something? I think Tony might be at least entertaining the idea of bringing Hammerstone in. Unless my mind is making that up. But,
I don't remember that. I know obviously he's been popping up in MLW.
In MLW, yeah.
Was he? I don't see any Ring of Honor for
maybe
Hammerstone.
I don't know where I got that from. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But my point was, Hammerstone's another guy. You know, TNA gave it a shot, didn't do much with him, becomes a free agent. You know, and he's back in MLW, where he did stand out. He absolutely stood out in MLW to the point that it earned him a TNA deal. I just see the same for Alex Kane. I don't know. I see him, unless he just wants to completely move on from MLW and just hit the indies hard and do something different. I just see him right back in the same spot.
The chat is telling us he was backstage at Double or Nothing, so maybe that's where
That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything because wrestlers visit wrestling shows all the time. So I don't know if you're backstage at Double or no, well, he's from the area, right? Because isn't he from he's from Las Vegas, I think.
He's an Arizona guy, I think. I think he's a Las Vegas, Arizona guy, I want to say.
He's from that part of the country is the point.
He might be from Phoenix proper. So yeah, in that case, it makes sense that he'd be Glendale. He's born in Glendale, Arizona. So yeah, he was just there.
Look, for his sake, I hope he got a meeting. You know, I hope Tony carved out 5 minutes for the guy and he gave him his elevator pitch. I don't have anything against Hammerstone. And maybe that's what it was. Or maybe it was, I live around the block and I'm going to visit some friends, which, believe me, that shit happens way more often than people like.
Yeah, or I'm going to hang up backstage and visit some friends. And if I have a meeting with Tony Khan, that'd be great too. But ultimately, it doesn't happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so we'll see. But again, Alex Kane, I'm not too high on the idea of him ending up anywhere other than MLW.
No, I don't see anything for him either. So we'll see what happens next. But yeah, I see him either hitting the indies harder or just going back to MLW.
I guess now, with the benefit of hindsight, the gimmick that Bischoff fired him makes sense because they knew he might be leaving.
Yeah, but then the 6 months of him coming back and not doing anything was probably not great.
Yeah, but it gives them a trap door to where if he didn't come back, to where you could say, oh, well, sure, Eric Bischoff fired. Like storyline, I'm saying.
Right.
It gives you a storyline reason to say he's not around.
Trying to make some sense of that. I think he was brought back like the next show.
Listen,
Matt Riddle's like, dude, you got fired, man? No, I'm bringing Alex Kane back. And Eric, you can't do that. I just did, bro. And then he did. And then he was just back. And it was like, all right, I guess he can. So.
But what other podcast is going to break down the kayfabe firing of Alex Kane and relate it to his deal coming due?
Right.
No one else is going to do that. That's why they're all listening, Rich.
Right. We knew the feud. We knew every beat of the Alex Kane Eric Bischoff feud. And you're probably listening right now going, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Alex Kane Eric Bischoff feud. MLW. Oh, right here. You hear it all.
Yeah. Just like you're going to hear all about the Mentai Kid retirement behind our paywall.
Absolutely. Flagship Patreon.com. Let's plug that. We had a lot of Flagship Pluses this week, man. We got a lot of bonus audio. You were out last week because of your dental surgery, but man, oh man, did the audio not stop. Because we got we obviously had the Flagship. You did a Friday Dynamite review immediately following that. That was last week's Dynamite. You did this week's Dynamite as well. Every single week, there's a Dynamite review available for you guys. Sometimes it's a Thursday Dynamite review. Most of the times it's a Thursday Dynamite review. Last week, it was a rare Friday Dynamite review. But no matter what, every single week, even when there's a dental surgery involved, you're getting a Dynamite review that week. So that is also available at flagshippatreon.com. Then you came back on Saturday with 5 reviews, a Flagship Plus reviewing 5 different shows. Saturday night's main event, TNA Under Siege, WWE Battleground, and then 2 Osaka Pro Light Heavyweight Tournament show reviews. Where else? Who else is reviewing Osaka Pro at this scale, at this level, with this amount of listeners? Nobody else is reviewing Osaka Pro. I really enjoyed that too. I still have to catch up on that light heavyweight tournament, but I always like to check out that Osaka Pro light heavyweight tournament when it pops up. Then you came back a couple days later with a Collision review. You talked about Mystico versus Averno from CMLL. You talked about a bunch of stuff going on in AAA. Another great Flagship Plus. That was on Sunday, I think, right? Wasn't that Sunday that you did that one? But anyway. Sure. Sunday or Monday, I forget. But sometime in the weekend as you were recovering from your surgery and just never, ever stopped doing audio. And then I came back earlier this week, I believe yesterday, for the live listeners, with a Flagship Plus going over Tuesday Night Flagship Plus, talking about the debut of Mariah May. Deadlock. I've always been committed to Deadlock this entire year, reviewing as much Deadlock as I can. So, reviewed their Limit Break 2025 show. I'll give you a brief update about Daisuke Sakamoto's status after his pretty scary injury, and then a look at Mentai's Kid's career history and his retirement match. So a little Kyushu Pro on there as well. Find me somebody else. Find me another show that in a given week is doing bonus audio about Osaka Pro and Kyushu Pro at this level. Nobody, Joe, except for us. Flagshippatreon.com.
Yeah, $5 tier, $10 tier. $10 tier gets you everything we do. $5 tier gets you most of what we do. So, but if you want the live audios and the written content, you're going to want to be on the $10 tier. And that's enough for the commercial. One more quick point before we transition. I forgot to bring this up, and I know the moment has passed, but I got to bring this up regarding R-Truth, and then we'll move on from these from this contract stuff. I saw some people saying there was a couple different schools of thought on this, and this is more of a booking philosophy question, so it isn't really about R-Truth specifically. So this is why I want to pitch it to you. I saw some people saying that they were surprised they're letting him go because he just had the high-profile match with John Cena on the aforementioned Saturday night's main event that I reviewed behind the paywall and that you reviewed on last week's Flagship, right? And we had different opinions on that show. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. Now, the papers are saying that I loved it, and that's not true. Okay.
You and Ibu love SmackDown, and you love WWE.
And apparently I love Saturday Night Main Event. Yeah. So maybe me and him should get together and do a weekly SmackDown review. But there's this theory that, okay, it doesn't make sense that they're letting his contract come due because they just used him in a high-profile program with Cena. I am of the complete opposite thought. I think if you know you're going to let somebody go, you squeeze every last ounce of juice out of them and you have them do a high-profile job on TV. So from that standpoint, I wasn't surprised at all that they were letting him go coming off of the Cena match, right? And then
also he got beat in 4 minutes, so it wasn't exactly like they were. Yeah, it wasn't a push. They beat him in 4 minutes. I mean, it was pretty definitive.
That's getting beat on your way out of the territory. That's pro wrestling, baby. So that didn't surprise me at all. The other school of thought was, well, if you knew he was leaving, if you knew you were letting him go, and you knew you were doing this program, why not make it a retirement match? And I don't disagree with that either. They should have just went all the way with it and made it a retirement match and put extra emotion and stakes on it. Okay? And based on the reaction that him being let go got from fans, imagine the reaction they would have gotten off of Cena ending his career. So your thoughts on both of those sort of viewpoints on his exit.
Well, I'll go to your second point first, because that is something that I talked about in my review of Saturday Night's Main Event, and something I was a little disappointed by the way that they told, which is kind of how this whole John Cena heel turn thing has gone. But I was disappointed that they went the route they did with this R-Truth thing, where he comes out as a gimmick, a joke, I'm the John Cena super fan, because that's kind of what he's done for a while. And John Cena's my childhood idol, even though I'm older than him and I debuted before him. And it's all this wink wink nudge nudge bullshit. And then he comes out and he's wearing the Cena gear and he's doing Cena memorial spots and all this sort of stuff. And I pitched this in a Saturday Night's Main Event review that I did, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, wow, that's a really good idea. I never thought of it like that way." That what it should have been after that press conference was R-Truth as Ron, you know what I mean? I don't always like doing worked shoot stuff, but I think in this case it would have been good, especially if he was finishing up and that was going to be the last time we were going to see R-Truth. I really like the idea of him coming out and being like, I don't know who this guy is, John. Like you're my friend. Like you're not the guy I've known forever. You're not the guy that I've gone on the road with, that I've traveled with or whatever. You're not the guy that's led this company for 20 years or whatever. I don't know what happened to that guy, but you're not that guy. And you know what? I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to try to prove to you and beat it out of you and make sure that people know that this whatever this is, whatever this personality is, whatever this is right now, I don't like it. I don't know who it is, and it's not my friend or whatever. I think that would have been a really cool way to do it, not as comedy goofball R-Truth that doesn't know what town it is, but rather Ron Killings being like, "This isn't my guy. I don't know who you are. You aren't my friend." And like you said, Cena could have said, "All right, motherfucker, you want to go? Put your career on the line. I'll face you. You know, you're a J-bro, and I'm not going to face you, but if you put your career on the line, then I'll face you." That would have been really cool stakes. You would have Ron Killings / R-Truth kind of laying it all out there as not the comedy geek or whatever, but his final run in the company, his final match in the company is a normal guy, a guy that's kind of just, letting go of that character that he's been for a while. And John Cena making him lay it all out there, putting the ultimate challenge out there. I think that would have been phenomenal. It would have been a great idea to do that, but instead they chose that R-Truth comes out in goofy John Cena gear and then gets beaten 4 minutes, rolled out of the ring, and then he's released, a week later or whatever.
I think however you fantasy book it, they just would have gotten more out of it if it was a loser leave town scenario.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
So just, I completely agree with that. And I also completely agree with the idea. Now Tony Khan disagrees with this. His philosophy, and look, there's multiple ways to skin a cat. You hear that, Maggie Moo? You better watch your back. There's multiple ways to skin a cat. The Tony Khan philosophy is treat people well on the way out, because you never know who you're going to offend. And maybe I want to do business with Jade Cargill sometime down the road. Maybe I want to do business with Mariah May sometime down the road. Maybe I want to bring Andrade back someday. I don't know why he would want that. No more Andrade, please.
No, thank you. If I'm Tony Khan,
you get the idea. Yes. He has treated all of these people with. He didn't go out there and send them out and job them out. He doesn't job people out of his territory. Tony just doesn't do that. And WWE has been more apt to de-push someone and flat out job them out of the place. So, and I could see the pluses, the positives and negatives to both of those philosophies. With a 53-year-old R-Truth, you're never bringing him back. So I really do think that they missed the boat by not making that some sort of retirement stipulation or loser leave town or whatever when it comes to, did you see at Saturday Night's Main Event? They teased, completely cooked and washed John Cena versus Yeet Man.
I saw that. I know. I was like,
oh my God, please do not give us that.
Yeah, I want to see it. I want to see it so bad, yeah.
Imagine how bad that's going to be.
Yeah, Yeet Man who just cannot rise to the occasion and shits the bed in every big moment, and John Cena who, even if he wanted to rise to the occasion, which he probably doesn't, absolutely cannot rise to the occasion anymore. That would be fucking brutal.
Maybe he needs hymns. But I think that the only way you can make John Cena versus Yeet Man worse is if you make it a triple threat with Solo Sikoa. How would that be? Just throw Solo Sikoa in there. Why not?
You're right.
And just have all three of those guys flopping around, not knowing two of them flopping around, not knowing what they're doing. And Cena, who still has the mind, I guess.
Fucking cooked, though. God, he's cooked.
He is just completely fucking finished. Completely finished. But anyway, I just wanted your thoughts on the and I should have brought that up while we were talking about
That's all right. It's loose. We're loose here. You know, we don't follow.
I'm finding my footing. I missed a week.
You're good. Well, we do this thing kind of loose here on the show. If people haven't figured that out after many, many years, you know, sometimes the format gets thrown out the window. But let's move on with the way that we have our format right now. And we were talking about WWE, so let's go over the 2 WWE shows this weekend. We got Saturday night, 2 shows on Saturday night. Well, I guess 1 on Saturday afternoon and 1 on Saturday night. We'll start out with the Saturday afternoon show. Our very first look at the WWE AAA partnership with Worlds Collide, which, Joe, I made the unfortunate mistake of today while trying to look up YouTube videos about about the build of Worlds Collide and some of the angles that they've done. I typed in when Worlds Collide into my YouTube, and the 1994 show came up. And I said, I'll watch a couple minutes of this. And then I watched the entire show earlier today. And that show fucking rules. And let's just talk about When Worlds Collide from 1994 instead.
That is still, to me, one of the greatest pay-per-views of all time.
It absolutely is. I finished that earlier, and I was like, that is nearly a perfect show. That show is
let me ask you a question.
Fucking great.
Did you watch the whole show?
I watched the 2-hour, I think I watched the U.S. pay-per-view.
Okay. Oh, okay. So you watched the whole show.
Is that it? They had no other extra matches on it, right?
This is why. No. This is why I ask. Because currently one of the WWE YouTube channels is doing an endless loop of When Worlds Collide, but it's only 3 matches. It's the hair versus mask tag, the legendary hair versus mask tag with Art Barr and Eddie Guerrero versus El Hijo de Santo and Octagon. It's the Rey Mysterio Trios match with Luis Spicoli.
Yeah, it's Fuerza Guerrera, Madonna's boyfriend, Psychosis, and then Mysterio, Heavy Metal, and Latin Lover.
Yes. And the Minis opener.
Okay.
But they omitted the cage match and the Chris Benoit Trios match.
Yeah, for obvious reasons. But that Trios match rocks. So they should have cut that one in for sure.
Yeah, La Parka, Too Cold, Benoit. Who else was in that?
Yeah, so it's Benoit, Scorpio, and Tito Santana versus Jerry Estrada, La Parka, and Blue Panther is that match.
Yeah. Jerry Estrada, who, by the way, if you haven't seen When Worlds Collide, Jerry Estrada is on the card in the match Rich just mentioned. Jerrito Estrada, his mini, is in the opener.
But his mini is 5 feet tall, though. He's so tall.
He's like he's just a short guy. He's not like a
yeah, he's not a mini.
Can you say midget? I don't know if you can say midget.
Well,
anymore.
Chris Cruz said midget, so we're going to say midget. Yeah, Chris Cruz called them midgets, and Mike Tenay called them midgets all the time too. So
I feel like in wrestling you're allowed to say that because it's called midget wrestling still to this day. Like I don't think it's like a new naughty word. I think in wrestling you get a pass. You get a pass in wrestling, right? Anyway, the point is, Jerrito Estrada I don't think was anyone with an affliction. He was just a short guy who qualified based on his height. But anyway, the point here is not to litigate whether Jerrito Estrada should have been a mini or not.
No, we think we should. That's what we should do.
The point here is there's a lot of people who've probably never seen Jerry Estrada who was fucking awesome.
He's so good in that match too.
He is. But Dominic Mysterio is not based on Eddie Guerrero like a lot of people think. He's not based on his father. He's not some hybrid of his father and Eddie. He is a carbon fucking copy of Jerry Estrada.
Yes, he is.
And I know that Dom knows who Jerry Estrada is. I know that Dom is watching his Jerry Estrada tapes and completely basing his persona on Jerry Estrada. But it gets so frustrating to me to see people who don't know any better think that he's doing some kind of Eddie Guerrero Latino heat. He's not. He's doing Jerry Estrada right down to the fucking gear.
The gear is exactly the same. Yep, the hair and the gear is exactly the same.
The sleaziness. Now, Dom Mysterio is not and never will be Jerry Estrada. Let's make that clear. But that's what he's doing. It's a Jerry Estrada act. Or Jerrito Estrada, if you prefer. But anyway, if people go back and watch that show, which I still think holds up as one of the greatest pay-per-views of all time.
I can assure you it holds up. Watched it earlier today. Absolutely holds up. Every single match on that show is essential, and every single match on that show is great.
And if you've never seen it, you're going to see Jerry Estrada come out, and you're going to go, holy shit, that's Dom Mysterio. And I've been banging that fucking drum for how long now? I'm like, no, he's doing Jerry Estrada. I promise you. That's the best way. Just go watch that show. You'll see. But But you got to find some bootleg because he's in the Benoit match. They're not going to show you the Benoit match.
It's not hard.
Anyway.
I can assure you it's not very hard. Type in When Worlds Collide on YouTube and you'll get access to it very, very quickly. One thing I do want to say, too, I also then, after I watched the hair versus mass match, the Octagon Santo versus Art Bar and Eddie Guerrero, I remembered that we did a deep dive about Love Machine versus Blue Panther, and this match was the one that we covered. So I went, you know what? I'm going to ride home from work. I'm going to listen to that deep dive. I'm not one of these guys that listens to a lot of what we do afterwards. That's a great fucking show. Holy shit, is that a great show? I linked it in the Discord. People agreed too.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to that one since we did it in like 2021 or whatever. That's good audio. That's really good audio. That Love Machine versus Blue Panther deep dive. FlagshipPatreon.com, by the way, people.
Go off, Rich Craig.
That's good audio. I don't tap myself. I don't do the old Barry Horowitz that often, but man, I gotta pat myself on the back there.
You're flexing.
Yeah.
You're flexing. You are. It's okay. You know? Like Junior with his hand in the drain. You're flexing. You don't get that, but a lot of people do.
I don't know what you're talking about at all.
You don't get it, but a lot of people get it.
Okay, please move on. I'm feeling old now.
What the hell were we talking about? Oh, When Worlds Collide.
Yeah, I guess we have to talk about Worlds Collide at some point, but I made the mistake of watching When Worlds Collide. And I don't know if this show is going to match what When Worlds Collide brought to the world.
I made the mistake of watching the AAA... what's that one? What's the name of that show?
Some A word. I don't even know what it was.
I made the mistake of watching AAA Allianzas. Allianzas is American numbers in the chat to help us out here. Allianzas. Whatever.
Where's Ricardo Gallegos when we need him? Where the hell are you?
Ricardo Gallegos? This was the AAA show. This was the show with the title change. Okay. I did acquire the Mexican version of Max Feed for this show through certain means. Now, it only had the final three. I'm going to tell you a process that happens every few weeks. Every few weeks, I will say to our good pal, the Cubs fan, I'll say, I'm going to watch the AAA show. And he'll say, Joe, why?
He'll always caution you. Every time I ask him to, he goes, why do you want to watch that? No. He says no, and then why? And I go, come on, let me do it.
He's like, don't do it. Why? And then I always say, well, maybe, I got to watch it for the show, and maybe it's not that bad. And he's like, all right. And then you flash forward a few days, right? And I'm watching the AAA show, and every single time I'm saying to myself, why did I do this? Why am I doing this? Why am I watching this AAA show? I should just listen to Cubs and not hunt these shows down and watch these AAA shows. So I wanted to watch it to get ready for I wanted to get pumped up for Worlds Collide. You can't get mad at me for being a wrestling fan, Rich Craig. I'm just trying to be a good fan, and I'm trying to do a service for the listeners and be well informed and watch the Go Home show for Worlds Collide free on YouTube this Saturday. Is it Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday afternoon.
Okay. So you want me to go through it quickly?
Yes, and I actually watched the main event, so I can chime in on the main event. That is available on AAA's YouTube, by the way, because of course the main event of that show is available on AAA's YouTube.
The main event?
Yeah, they gave away the main event, of course. Yeah, so Vikingo and Alberto El Patron is available to watch on YouTube if you want. But give me the two matches before that, and then we'll talk about the main event.
So they did a 6-man tag team cage match, because of course they did.
It's so AAA, yes.
With El Fiscal.
I hate AAA. Fuck. I don't even know who's in the match, and I already know it sucks. But go on.
El Fiscal, La Parca 3, and Octagon Jr. Although I didn't, you probably didn't think it was La Parca 2. That would have been some trick.
That would have been impressive. Yeah, that would have been really impressive.
Now, he's not billed as La Parca 3. It's kind of like a Tiger Mask thing where people sometimes will say Tiger Mask 4, but they don't bill him as that. But, third generation La Parca. Versus the new Los Vipers, Abismo Negro Jr., Hysteria, and the new Taurus. Not Black Taurus, but, the guy they bequeathed the gimmick to, who wears the same outfit as the new Beast Mortos.
Beast Mortos, yeah.
They are the new Los Vipers. So what you had here in this match was a lot of guys that are doing gimmicks that they didn't originate. You got the La Parca 3, you got Toros 2, you got Abismo Negro Jr., who I don't believe is legitimately the son of the passed away Abismo Negro. I don't think he is. But anyway, so listen, I was watching this match and enjoying it. I'm like, this isn't bad, right? There was a nice triple dive off the top of the cage by the baby faces, but then they missed the peak. And then it kept going. And then it kept going. And then it kept going. And then I'm like, all right, when is this fucking match going to end? And then it was more plunder and more plunder. And then Abismo Negro Jr. gets his fire can and is blowing fire on everybody, which would have been cool as hell if it would have happened 15 minutes earlier, but this match never fucking ended. So eventually the match did in fact end. It's not still going on as we speak, but it's just typical AAA, where even when something lands and it's like pretty good, it was twice as long as it needed to be. So the Los Vipers win, and then they were ripping off El Fiscal's mask in the post-match and everything. So that was the cage match. By the way, during the post-match angle when they were ripping off El Fiscal's mask and he's like desperately covering his face, and it's supposed to be this heavy emotional angle, the stagehands are taking down the cage while all this is going on. Behind them, ripping the mask off. They're like tearing the cage down. Yeah, so that was a mess. And then we had El Macias and Mecha Wolf. They defeat the Wagner family, El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. and Galeno del Mal. So the two large adult sons of Dr. Wagner Jr. This had 1 million run-ins. This was everything.
No,
about
you don't say.
Times 10 is what this was. And it was, it ended up as a result being pretty awful. And Mecha Wolf at the end of the match was apparently very mad at one of the fans in the front row. And for some reason, the camera stayed on him as he was mimicking and miming the blowjob motion to a fan in the front row. It was very detailed because he was not only miming the blowjob motion, but he was doing with the other hand, like the ball squeeze. Did you notice that?
Yeah, like Shawn Michaels, like the classic Shawn Michaels gif, where
that's right.
He is sucking the longest dick with the largest balls ever. And he's doing some ball play with it. So good for him.
Listen, the metaphorical dick that Mecha Wolf was sucking was very large as well. And he was really squeezing on them balls too. So
what these guys like. You know what I mean? Like, you could assume that Shawn Michaels likes a little ball play, and I guess we know that Mecha Wolf likes a little squeeze. Likes a little squeeze.
Yeah.
You know,
if you're out there and you ever wanted to hook up with Mecha Wolf, just
give a little squeeze. Yeah,
he's a pay attention to the balls guy. That's what he is. Rich Craich, are you a pay attention to the balls guy?
No comment.
No comment.
That
means he is. He is, everybody. Rich Craich, you heard it here.
I don't mind. You gotta. They're there. You might as well give them a little love. You know.
I knew it. Don't be shy. I knew it. Rich Craich put it in the papers that he said he's a pay attention to the balls.
No, I don't want to give him squeeze. I don't really want him squeezed like Mecha Wolf wanted. Don't squeeze him.
Listen.
Just a little touch here and there.
Listen,
is fine.
it's not a stress ball. Let's take it easy.
Right. They're sensitive. They're sensitive.
It's you're right. That's like me with my nipples. Like, listen, don't go near my little pinkies. It's just, I don't like it. Like, you can brush by, but if you start using teeth or something, I might not react well to that. So you know what I do? It's just a hard limit. Stay away from my nipples. I'm not a nipple guy. I don't know. Are you a nipple guy, Rich?
Not a nipple guy. Not a nipple guy. No.
Not a nipple guy? All right. And you can jump in for the main event. I know you're desperate to end
I cannot
this
wait.
part of the conversation.
So it sounds like the rest of the show was a real departure from the main event, which was a sloppy mess where a bunch of people ran in. Oh, I guess that's what every other match was, except for the cage, I suppose.
Yes.
But
because you couldn't, because there was a cage,
right?
But yeah, Vikingo beats Patron, and I guess the big story here is WWE tipped this off, and I think the fans sort of maybe not outright rejecting Vikingo. That's not the right verbiage. But maybe not being very excited about Vikingo winning. I think it's a combination of a number of factors. Number one, and people might not realize this, back when he was the mega champion before he got hurt, where he would go on last at shows, he was never really the true main event. Okay. They would put him on last because he was the champion. When he would wrestle Kenny Omega or whatever foreigner they would bring in to have like a, Meltzer pleasing match to break up the sloppiness on the rest of the show. He was never the primary draw. He was never enormously popular, even on his initial title run. So you have that as a factor. The other thing is, I think that Alberto El Patron, I think he got over to some degree this week with the angle that he did with Vikingo's dad on the Mexican television. I think that people liked that angle. And the third thing is because WWE tipped off the finish, because I guess for some reason they don't think people in Mexico have the internet. I mean, what the fuck is that? Did they really think no one was going to find out? I'm not putting it past TKO to think that, oh, they don't have the internet in Mexico. Would you really put that past them?
Certainly not. No, that seems or that's yeah. They clearly have a thought about their fans. Yeah, they don't give a fuck. They either think that they're dumb or they don't give a fuck.
No respect to the Mexican fans by giving away the finish, announcing a title defense before the guy wins the title. And then I think that the fans are annoyed. We're annoyed by that because I think they feel disrespected. And they're like, what the fuck? Like, you're just going to give away a finish? Now, I'm not saying every person in that building is an insider fan who was privy to this, but I'm guessing a chunk of them were. And they knew that they were going to see a title change. And then when they got it, they were mad because it reinforced what they were annoyed about. They're like, holy shit, they really did shit on us and tell us they were going to do this before they did it, even though I bought a fucking ticket to this show. So they're rallying behind. They have made Alberto El Patron, of all people, a sympathetic figure.
Well, I think those fans like him too. I mean, I know it's hard for people to believe because they're like, well, he's this and he's that. It's like they've kind of, even when he turned heel, people cheered him. Like people like, those fans like Alberto El Patron. So I think there was also a bit of a, you know, I think that, you know, those fans know that he probably is not the champion anymore because of this WWE relationship, because they didn't want to
doesn't help at all.
They don't want to put Patron on this Worlds Collide show and have him be a featured act in AAA right now. And so I think the fans, like you said, there's a combination of factors. You have Vikingo, who is not as over as American fans like Vikingo a lot because he's Vikingo. He's a jump off the page, and now he's not as much anymore. And that's going to be the thing that I think a lot of people are going to have to get used to.
Post-injury, it's a little tricky.
Yeah, people are going to be very surprised at what current Vikingo looks like these days because it's not what it once was with him. But I think that fan base doesn't see him as a big enough star. They see Patron as a huge star, and then there's also this WWE factor too. So yeah, there was a little bit of a rejection here of Patron losing this title and Vikingo winning it. So it's an interesting, early part of this relationship that's kind of played out here, where this title is getting changed to Vikingo because of this relationship, and then obviously, like you said, they tipped it off to everybody already that this was going to happen.
And I think the fan, Alberto's the classic cool heel that they boo, but they kind of like.
Right.
It's kind of what it is.
He's doing the C thing in the midway through the match, and all the fans are going C. I mean, it wasn't even,
Right. So a portion of the fan base just outwardly roots for him, and the people that boo him, he's a cool heel. So, and I think they see him as being screwed by the new management.
Exactly.
So he actually has become a sympathetic figure because they feel like he's getting screwed out of his title by the new people running the company. And when you combine all of those factors, when Vikingo, and this had a million run-ins and everything too. This is a fucking disaster.
Dorian came out, and then he got hit in the nuts, and then Latin Lover came out, and something, like 15 people ran out, and I was like, what is this?
God. Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Trash. Trash wrestling.
It's just a garbage promotion. But, so Vikingo pins Patron. Did you notice Patron had the shoulder up? You noticed that?
Of course. I was hoping. There was one of two things that was going to happen. Patron was either going to have that shoulder up, or it was going to be the 1, 2, 3, and he's already up. That sort of thing. But he had the shoulder up. That's what he chose. He chose to. I'll stay down for 4 seconds, but I'm having that shoulder's going to be a little above that mat.
It's obvious that my shoulder's up.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it.
so
trash.
What happened was they popped for the title change because crowds always pop for titles.
Of course. Always.
Right. So you hear like the women and children, especially, like that high pitched squeal you get when there's a title change. And then about 5 or 6 seconds later, that all stops and the boos start coming and people are booing. Now, this wasn't a cascade of super loud boos, but what it was, I don't know, 40 to 50% of the crowd openly booing, and the other 40 to 50% of the crowd not doing anything. And maybe 5 to 10% of the crowd cheering at that point.
And they tried to make this a big emotional thing, too, because if people didn't follow, a couple of days ago, Patron beat up like Vikingo's dad on a TV show or whatever, and they tried to do a bunch of work shoot stuff. So Vikingo gets the win, and he gets in the middle of the ring, and he's crying, and his family's surrounding him, and they're all crying. Like, they try to make it a big emotional thing. The fans were not buying it, like you said, at all.
No, because he hasn't been pushed that way, and they were pushing Latin Lover to eventually take down Alberto.
And you might be saying the same Latin lover from One Worlds Collide in 1994?
Yes.
The same Latin lover from One Worlds
31 years ago.
Yes. In 1994, correct.
In fairness, he looks good.
Right, of course. But
no, he does. In fairness, he does.
He does. But it is indeed. I'm just pointing out. It is indeed. If you think it's El Hijo del Latin lover, no. It is the same Latin lover. Yes,
same man from the show 31 years ago. Yes. But now he's like an authority figure type, and he comes out in the suit and he gets involved in all the run-ins. But they were built. The one time AAA was actually building to something. The irony here is WWE came in and changed it. They never build to anything, and when they do, it never happens. So I guess that's kind of par for the course that it got changed anyway. But yeah, Latin Lover gets bumped out. WWE obviously wants this title on Vikingo, but most of the fans there, they see Alberto getting screwed. They don't see Vikingo as a star, and they're annoyed that it got tipped off to them, and they were shown total disrespect. Like, these people don't have phones, like people don't have internet. They saw the match you booked for Worlds Collide, and the combination of factors, it just got over like a wet fart. It really didn't get over. And one of the most annoying things that's happening, and we knew this would happen, is unfortunately the WWE influencer / grifter brigade has found Cubs fan. And I feel bad for Cubs. I know he can handle it, and I know he's just slapping the block button. But these losers have found Cubs, and they got mad at him because he watched the show live or whatever, and he tweeted out, this wasn't the greatest reaction for Vikingo. So he got this giant pile-on from all of these, grifter types, your fadeaway media dorks and all these people who are saying that, he was wrong and it was an enormous pop, and he's just he's being paid by Tony Khan because, everybody's being paid by Tony Khan. But Rich, I mean, you watched this match. Was this any kind of great reaction from Vikingo?
Not at all.
It was a wet fart reaction. He got nothing. It was exactly how Cubs described it. But now this culture war, unfortunately, is going to migrate down south to Mexico. And you know what's coming next. That AAA is real lucha libre and CMLL sucks because CMLL is associated with the AEW. AAA is associated with WWE.
I feel bad for Cubs and Rob Viper. Those guys, they were in their own little world for so long, and now it's
deal with this fucking bullshit. Yeah. And now you have to deal with fucking the car salesman guy and fucking all these grifter types that we don't like to name, and these who don't know what they're trying to lucha-splain Cubs fans.
Right, it's absurd. These
Would you think about that for a second?
These are 19-year-old children that have never watched any lucha in their life.
They never heard of AAA a month ago, and they're trying to lucha-splain Cubs fan, which is just funny, depressing, and annoying all at the same time. Can you have those three emotions at the same time? Humor, depression, and annoyance?
Yes, you can.
Rich Craich says, yes, Joe, I have all three of those emotions
constantly,
at the same time.
Yes, constantly, all the time, yes. Let me tell you more about living my life.
All I want is a little bit of ball play in my life, but I get depression and stress at the same time instead. So, yeah, that was the awful listen, who knows? Maybe the first three matches were absolute fucking
spectacular bangers, yeah,
right, that didn't make it to the copy of the show that I saw, but that's your setup to the Power Man 5000 show coming up this weekend on YouTube. Worlds Collide, Rich. Come on.
Worlds Collide. Let's do it. So again, the aforementioned Lucha Blog, Cubs fan, voicesofwrestling.com. He has a preview up there if you want to. Really, really good. A really insightful preview about what this means. Not necessarily the breaking down the matches as much, but more what this means for the relationship and how we're going to see our first look at what it's going to be like and what's this, the possibilities of this relationship. So that is Worlds Collide. I'm going to watch the last second of this NBA Finals game. So just let me...
All right, I'll talk through it.
Oh, my God. The Indiana Pacers, 111, 110, 0.3 seconds left. Tyrese Halliburton. Oh, my God. All right.
0.3, you can catch and shoot.
You can catch and shoot still 0.3. We just talked about the Trent Tucker rule. I remembered it now. The Trent Tucker rule. Yes.
Let's break every broadcasting law in this country, and you're going to talk us through the final.
I'm going to dribble. Dribble. Yeah, I'm going to do. My friend Sessa does it all the time. Nobody gets mad at him. So, yeah.
That's right.
He'll sit there and do the entire hole of golf. Is just going to the
whole second half of the March Madness game.
Right.
He doesn't give a shit. He's a sports pope. Who's going to stop him?
Yeah, who's going to do it? You're going to get at the sports pope? So
he doesn't care. What are you going to do? He's made his money.
Fire me. I'm already fired. Yeah, that's basically the approach. But
so
we're reviewing it.
Shoot.
Well, we're reviewing it because every play in the NBA can't be exciting because we have to fucking spend 9 minutes reviewing it. And
so it's going to end up being 0.7.
Right. We're going to add time to the clock and everyone that's
now we're going to be able to dribble.
Right.
Yeah. So we're going to have to find out. Well, all right. Well, while they're reviewing it, who would you try to get the ball to here if you're OKC?
You got to go Shea. That's the MVP, man, right? Got to go Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. You can't be putting the ball in fucking Isaiah Hartenstein's hands. No, it's got to be Shea, man. You got to inbound that thing to Shea.
Maybe you bring Shea off a ball screen as a decoy.
OKC, they're a thinking man's basketball
team, too.
Yeah.
They're a sneaky team. So you have them run the baseline frantically like Reggie Miller as a decoy, right? And have all the attention on him. And then maybe, you open
Alex
something up.
Caruso gets the Chet Holmgren at the rim. You lob it into Chet Holmgren at the rim. That's what you do, the lob. That's what you do. You got a 7'2" guy. You have him. Well, it looks like he's inbounding. Oh, no. Oh, here it is. Okay, so let's see. Alex Caruso is inbounding it. Smart ball player. Makes sense. Put the ball in his hand. Your boy. Once, didn't you drive that man once in an Uber?
Alex Caruso has been in my car. Yes.
There it is. People, I forgot if that's lore that we've talked about before or we've just talked about on our own. But yeah, Alex Caruso, Joe and Alex Caruso have it in the same car together. At a
I was
point,
invited to play FIFA with Alex Caruso and his friends when I got to his apartment.
That's awesome.
I politely declined.
Oh, you should have went. I mean, you can't play FIFA.
I'm not
at
a big
all, right?
FIFA guy.
Yeah,
I'm not a big FIFA guy.
Well, that's where when you get there, you go, come on, can't we play? We're not going to throw. You got Madden right there. Come on, let's go Madden. They would have.
Yeah, well,
they wanted one. You know what I can tell you as somebody who's been that. Hey, do you want to play FIFA guy? It's really bad because I don't know anything about the football.
Right.
And I played once with some guys and they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know. Cause I was playing it I was just fast breaking down the down the pitch. And they're like, strategy. What are you doing, man? Like, come back. Where are you going? Like the ball's back here. And I'm like, I'm open. Get it to me. And they're like, you're 100 feet away. I can't kick it to you. I'm good. I got a breakaway. Go. Like, I don't understand the concepts of soccer at all. So yeah, I was not invited again to play FIFA with those guys, but anyway, we took another timeout, so don't.
Oh, that's why. Okay,
it's the NBA. It's the NBA. You can't. You think 0.3 seconds is going to take 0.3 seconds? No, get out of here.
No, Indiana took a look at their set, and then they got to draw something up, and now
OKC has one more timeout to go, so they can maybe do this again. But same scenario here. Alex Caruso inbounding it. Indiana smartly not putting anybody on Caruso. Putting an extra defender on the floor. They did the lob that I was talking about, and Miles Turner blocked it away. Indiana wins game 1 of the NBA Finals.
We called the play though. They went to Chet inside with the lob.
It's exactly. Yeah, they. I don't know if it was to Chet. They were just kind of generally inbounding it towards the rim. But yeah, I don't know who.
See, I don't like that. If you're gonna just throw it towards the rim, fuck that. You may as well try to get someone off a ball screen and do a catch.
I agree. It was a very bad play. They could have done a couple motions. I think what happened was they got spooked when Indiana didn't bring a guy to Caruso, and I think they didn't have an idea of what to do after that. Because I bet what they wanted to do is they wanted to move Turner away from the rim and then try to do a lob behind Turner, but Turner just stayed at the rim and just said, "You're going to lob it to the rim, so I'm just going to knock it out of the way when it gets here."
See, that shit's lazy. I think the Knicks did that against Indiana in game 5 or 6 at the end too, where they just threw it towards the rim. And it's like, if you're just going to, that's never going to work. You have a better chance of a catch and shoot in that scenario.
Right.
I think it was the game where there was 0.2 and then they added and made it 0.3. So they even opened the door for the Knicks to do a catch and shoot, and they still didn't take the opportunity, which I thought was a big mistake. I think that was the Knicks last week, but I can't remember.
I think you're right. But yeah, I'm always in favor of, I'd rather have a shot attempt than just a lob attempt. But.
Absolutely. I'm totally with you. See, here's the thing. I love basketball strategy, and I love college basketball. I'm not really into the NBA, but I turn on the end of these NBA playoff games because I get into the strategy aspect of it, and I love ripping the coaches for doing shit that I wouldn't have done. So that's how I consume the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, take that, Mark Dagnall, you dummy.
Well, I could just be like the inside the NBA guys and go, "That was terrible basketball," and just not give you anything. I mean,
he did not rise to the occasion. He had a chance to rise to the occasion. He didn't rise to the occasion.
Thanks.
Charles, you didn't rise to any occasion. You didn't win no rings. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Inside the NBA. How can we lose this institution? Oh my God, yeah. Here's a GIF. Here's Squidward doing something in a GIF. It's describing Kenny Smith. We're gonna go to commercial. Then we're gonna come back.
Don fishing.
Fucking show sucks. That's my hot take, and I don't care who needs to hear it. Inside the NBA sucks.
The week
it has sucked for a long ass time. Go away.
The week that the beloved Inside the NBA comes to an end in its OG form, you can count on the Flagship to bury the fuck out of it.
It just stinks.
That is why we are here.
Hasn't had good analysis in years.
To bury the beloved Inside the NBA. Okay? All I'm concerned with is this move to ESPN. They better bring who he play for.
I agree. The only good thing is who he play for, yes.
You got to bring who he play for, and Ernie has to have the long, skinny 1970s game show mic when they do who he play for on ESPN. So
and they also have to, I hope Garrett Temple's in the league next year too, so that we can do the 9th straight year of Garrett Temple, who he played for.
The best one ever, and I don't remember what player it was, but the player came up and Charles was stammering, and Kenny goes, Charles, he played in the game we just watched.
Yes, it was like Brooklyn versus somebody. I forget who it was. Yeah.
He's like, he just played 9 minutes in the game we just watched on TNT, and he still got it wrong. It's an incredible segment who he played, which, by the way, inspired this show's what brand they play for that we used to do with the NXT Raw or SmackDown, which, with Evolve and WWE
you can really have some fun there, yeah.
I think what brand they play for needs to come back.
It'll come, yeah. When the moment strikes, Joe, I'm ready.
Well, yeah, and I'm gonna be like, Rich, Jackson Drake, which brand he play for, and you are going to be befuddled.
Evolve. He's an Evolve guy, of course. I think he's the new Evolve champion, right?
Well, you might.
We'll find out. We'll find out on who he played for.
Yeah, that's right. So now I can't do Jackson Drake because you're going to look it up.
No, I know Jackson Drake. That man just recently won the Evolve championship.
Are you still locked into Evolve?
No, oh God, no. Only Griffin Peltier is still watching Evolve. No, God, no.
Yeah, Griffin's burying me for watching AAA. He watches Evolve.
Earnestly watches Evolve. Yeah.
Yeah.
For no reason. No one told me he had to do that either.
Yeah, I'd rather watch AAA than Evolve. Maybe that's an unpopular take. But,
it's a hot take, I guess, but no. The Evolve's awful. No, Evolve's terrible. Okay, Worlds Collide.
Worlds Collide, not when Worlds Collide.
Straight ass Worlds Collide. This is free on YouTube, so that tells you what they think about the show too. Free on YouTube. El Hijo del Vikingo defending the AAA mega title against Chad Gable, not El Gran Americano or whatever. No, just normal ass Chad Gable. So Vikingo versus Chad Gable for the mega title. Now, Cubs fan talked about in his preview that a lot of AAA fans are very worried that this title is going to Chad Gable. Where do you stand on this? Do you think they're going to go for the heat of Chad Gable winning this title immediately right out of the gates, or do you think Vikingo retains?
Nothing would shock me.
I think it's really interesting. I think that, and Cubs brings it up that he thinks that Vikingo is going to win. He thinks it's a little too early to do this, super hot takey, crazy, hilarious. Oh, Chad Gable, all this heat. I think it would be you know what I think? I'm betting that Chad Gable wins this thing because I think that's the perfect. Look at how big we're talking about ball play on this episode of the Flagship. Look how big our fucking balls are. Chad Gable's the AAA mega champion now. What are you going to do about it? You know what I mean? Of all WWE flexes, puffy chested shit they could possibly do, Chad Gable winning this title from Vikingo right out of the gates would be that. And it's great heat. You know what I mean? It's great heat because he's facing all the luchadors and everybody knows that El Gran Americano is Chad Gable. I could so totally see this. I can absolutely see it. I don't know if it's what they're gonna do, but I don't know. I'm not betting against it. Betting against it at all.
He could bring that title to TV and brag about how he's the lucha champion of the world now.
Right. That's what I'm saying. If you think about the fact of what WWE is, think about what this relationship is, what we know this company is, how we know that they treat promotional partners, how every promotional partnership is what's going to help them the most. What helps them the most in the long term and the short term is Chad Gable wins this thing and then brags about it on Raw, and it's a big. You know what I mean? I honestly, I can visualize it happening right now. It just seems so perfect, and it's such a perfect like you said, puffy chested. Look how big our balls are. Chad Gable's the champion now, and fuck you. That's why.
Yeah, and it just advances a mid-card storyline on whichever show Chad Gable is on. That I definitely know which brand he played for. Not sure.
He is a Raw superstar, I believe, sir. He is a Raw superstar. Slime Sens in the chat has a good idea. Chad Gable loses, but Grande Americano wins the rematch. That's an interesting one too. I could get pitched that too, because but Chad is facing them as both characters or whatever, so that's possible you do both. But this is going to be a surprising match for a lot of people, because we talked about it a little bit. There's a lot of people that, when's the last time that you think most people listening to this show have seen Vikingo?
Against Kenny Omega.
I was going to say, that's probably the last time a lot of you.
Or maybe he wrestled in ROH. Well, yeah, no one watches ROH pay-per-views. The high profile match would be Kenny Omega, obviously. Right. Yeah.
And if that's the last time you've seen him, he ain't that guy anymore, really. I mean, I don't know if he's just holding back right now as he's kind of coming back from injury, but it's been one injury after another for a while for this guy. So I don't know. I think he's need to be
not quite as dynamic as he was pre-injury. And people have been talking about that since he came back, really. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, they could have a good match. They could have a great match if they have a good night. I don't know. But maybe it'll be gimmicked up too, so who knows? Yeah.
Is Chad going to have his working boots on, or is he going to have his gimmick boots on? Like it's going to get a lot. It's going to tell us a lot about this relationship moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. Is he going to no show, and is El Grande Americano going to show up and replace him?
Yeah.
You know, there's all kinds of wacky WWE style shenanigans that you can go with here.
Certainly. Your semi-main event, El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., Pagano, and Psycho Clown versus Legata del Fantasma, Angel, Berto, and Santos Escobar. So Joaquin Wilde, or whatever the fuck, they took him out of there and put Santos Escobar in his place. So it is Angel, Berto, and Santos Escobar versus...
So he was Humberto Carrillo.
Correct.
Then he was Humberto. Now he's Berto.
Yeah.
Soon he's going to be Bert. Then he's going to be B. Then he's going to be released. So
then he's gone, yeah.
It's a bad path he's on. But what's interesting here to me, I obviously don't give a shit who wins or anything like that. Now here's the thing. You said something earlier that it's our first look at the relationship between WWE and how, or not even a relationship, but this is the first look at the WWE version of AAA, right? I think it's also going to be the first look of a lot of people who run WWE of this AAA talent, because I don't think Levesque has seen most of these people wrestle. So now listen, we know Michael Cole, one of his favorites is Mr. Iguana. We do know that now. So we know Michael Cole is a big Mr. Iguana fan, but I'm looking at this show from the standpoint of who can get over with the WWE office. And I'm sure all of the wrestlers are looking at it that way too. You're going to get working shoes from every AAA wrestler. They all want a job. And they all want the real job. They all want to go WWE main roster if they can. So I think obviously Psycho Clown is someone with the charisma and the look and the gimmick that can get over with the WWE fans. So he's someone who he
knows it too. And Cubs talked about that too. He had 1 foot out of AAA, and then this relationship started, and he put 2 feet back in and was Hey, what's up, guys? How are you?
Hey, guys, I'm back.
Right. Yeah.
He had a new gimmick. He had a new name picked out. He was running his own shows. He was distancing himself. But now he's Mr. AAA team player again for very obvious reasons. So
yeah, he'll be working his ass off and definitely trying to get that job. And he is a guy that you can circle right now. They're going to love him. The fans are going to love him. Everyone's going to love Psycho Clown. He is absolutely going to be a guy that's going to be pushed moving forward.
Yeah, their fans are going to – all of those engagement accounts and grifters and Twitter blue checks chasing the Elon pennies, all those kind of people who couldn't pick Psycho Clown out of a fucking lineup as of today – they're going to all be putting him over by the end of this show, acting like, he's one of their favorite wrestlers of all time. He is one of the ones I predict is going to get over big.
Absolutely. For sure. North American title, Fatal 4-Way, Ethan Page versus Laredo Kid versus Ray Phoenix versus Javon Evans.
Yeah. I mean,
one of those men is not like the others, but
yeah, he sticks out like a sore thumb. And, Laredo Kid, obviously, is the one AAA guy there who's going to try his best to stand out. And I think there'll be a lot of fun flippy doos in that. And also Ethan Page.
And also all ego Ethan Page will be there too, defending his title. Yeah. Laredo Kid, Ray Phoenix, Javon Evans. That all sounds really fun and really good. And that's I do find it funny though that Ray Phoenix is being slotted in this show, which is a lot of lower level NXT guys, but Ray Phoenix, they're throwing him in there, but whatever.
Well, I mean, I don't read into that because they want to put a couple of high profile main roster people on the show, like Gable and Phoenix, because they want people to watch it.
You're right.
They want their fans to watch it.
No Pentagon though.
No Penta. Well, they picked Phoenix and they picked Gable, and Phoenix is someone who, look, he's a good addition to that match that they're doing.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
So, you wanted to put a couple people there because you want to get eyes on this thing. And the Mexican fans will pop for Ray Phoenix returning to AAA as well. So, I get what you're hinting at, but I don't think it's a negative for Ray Phoenix. I just think, I think it's a positive that they picked him for it because they think he can be impressive and they think that people are going to be interested in seeing him on it.
Now, this next match, this is one that really hits on your point that how much of this roster has the WWE brass watched outside of Jeremy Borash. It's probably zero. It's probably quite literally zero across the board. And Cubs talked about this in his preview as well. The WWE, one of their big things is their women's roster right now. Main roster, they like to push it as a big deal. In NXT, they obviously push it as a huge deal. And they have Lola Vice and Stephanie Vakir versus Chick Tormenta and Dalis. Oh boy.
Stephanie Vakir has her work cut out for her. If
Lola Vice might be the second best worker in this match, and think about that.
Yeah, I mean, Dalis is awful.
Really bad.
I mean, and Chick Tormenta is obviously not, fucking Joyce Grable herself. But I'm saying Dalis is horrendous. And 50. And it's impossible for me to think she can't work. She's obviously has very little upside with her age. There's no way they're familiar with her game. There's no fucking way that they are familiar with her game. They brought her to NXT and had her in the front row and everything. And I'm like, they're really, I mean,
they're hyping her up. It's so funny.
What are we doing? Yeah. I mean, it's just, I feel like they feel pressured that they have to have a women's match because in modern wrestling, like if you don't have a women's match, people are going to come at it. Like normally they don't care about that stuff though. So it's weird. It's like, I almost feel like they just felt like they had to have a women's match. And these are the two women that work most of AAA shows. So that's who got booked. I would be stunned if they ever booked Dalis again. I'd be stunned. On a show like this, maybe on just AAA shows in Mexico where no one's going to see. But, I don't know. Not great.
When we do
what
our rundown.
Cubs say? He had to be burying us.
Oh, he just kind of was like, yeah, I know that they want to have a women's match, and I know that, WWE thinks it's very important to have a women's match, but...
It might be better off not having one.
Yeah, these are not good women. They're not good at wrestling at all. So, when we run down the dignitaries, when you run down the dignitaries, when we review the show, one of the dignitaries you will be talking about, and they have announced that Savio Vega will be there, which I just...
Oh, so as long as you speak Spanish, I guess. That's...
My favorite part about that was, as somebody who works with a lot of Mexican men and a lot of Puerto Rican men, I can tell you one thing that Mexican people love are Puerto Ricans. So I don't
come on. They're all the same, Rich. It's all the right. Same. Listen, all the Pacific Islanders are the same. Tonga and Samoa, same
Guam,
shit.
Tonga, Samoa, who fucking cares? Whatever.
Who cares? Thousands of miles apart, completely different cultures.
Hawaii,
doesn't matter.
It's all the same. It's close enough.
If you're in the Pacific Ocean, you're all the fucking same. If you speak Spanish, it's the same. Puerto Ricans and Mexicans share the exact same culture, Rich. Where are you coming at this from?
It's so funny. I'm just like, okay. I mean, the Cubs quote tweeted it like, the best part about it, too, is Savio Vega has no connection whatsoever to AAA. Like, zero connection. I think the last time he had anything to do with, I don't know if it was Mexico or AAA in general. Let me see. It was so good. Let me try to find out exactly.
Well, why would he?
He had nothing to do with Mexico ever. It's just so
what? I mean, I don't understand. Like... They have plenty of A, Mexicans to choose from, B, people with connections to AAA to choose. Why Savio Vega?
Savio Vega. It's so good. Okay. You want to know Savio Vega's entire history of Mexico wrestling?
None? Is it none?
There's a couple. The last time he wrestled in Mexico was December 16th, 1999, as part of a WWF IWA Puerto Rico house show in Mexico. Get this match. Unbelievable match here, December 16th, 1999. The Ministry of Darkness, Midian, The Undertaker, and Viscera versus Kane, Miguel Perez Jr., and Savio Vega.
Well, here's the thing. No. Here's the thing about that. That's the traditional lucha libre that Paul Levesque was talking about.
It was this IWA Puerto Rico WWF house show with Midian, Viscera, Miguel Perez, Kane, Savio Vega, and The Undertaker. Yep.
If there's two things that Paul Levesque is a big fan of, is traditional lucha libre, the type that AAA brings to the table, and Dragon's Gate.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that you cannot school Paul Levesque on.
No. You can't Dragon's Gate explain Paul Levesque. He'll got you.
Or traditional lucha libre, like like AAA brings to their fans. He knows the ins and outs of both of those things.
Joe, before 1999, he wrestled 3 matches in Mexico in 1986 as a member of the Los Carracerios or whatever. Casario number 1 and Casario number 2. So he worked November 30th, 1986, and then he didn't work there until December of 1999, and then he has not worked there ever since.
So that one match he worked 40 years ago, what percentage of the fans are still alive
that were watching the UWA show in 1986?
Do you think 20%? Do you think, because anybody that was 30 or older is suspect to be dead, right? Is possible to be dead. So how many people under 30 would have been at the show, and what percentage of those people didn't die young? I would say about 25%. I would say about 75% of the people that were at that show are probably dead. I
think that's safe. Yeah, that's safe to say. Because this is UWA too. This is pretty. It's pretty grimy, deep in the weeds, wrestling. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. No. I mean, I guess UWA 1986 is pretty big. No, I'm not. I'm imagining, like you said, not a lot of under 30-year-olds.
Yeah,
at that show.
If you were 8 and at that show, you might not even like wrestling anymore.
It's a very small percentage. Yeah.
What I'm getting at here.
How many of them are going to be at the Kia Forum in Inglewood, California on Saturday afternoon? I'm getting at.
There are probably 0 people in Mexico who remember Savio Vega wrestling in Mexico. 0. The number is 0.
The number is 0 for sure, yeah.
The number is 0, I think. I think the number is 0. The over-under is 0.5, and I'm taking the under.
It's so good. Savio Vega. It's just like they don't...
The show was 40 years ago.
shows me already what they think of this fucking relationship. One more match here. Aerostar, your guy, Mr. Iguana. You and Michael Cole's guy, Mr. Iguana.
My guy, Michael Cole's guy.
Michael Cole's guy, Octagon Jr. versus the LWO of Cruz del Toro, Dragon Lee, and then their special partner, Lince Dorado.
Yeah, the NXT trainer, Lince Dorado. Yeah. Another Puerto Rican man, as a matter of fact.
A lot of Puerto Ricans on this show.
Do they think Puerto Rico is like a territory of Mexico and not the United States? Is that what they think here? Yeah. But look, he's a lucha warrior. He knows the lucha style, and and
sort of.
Maybe he asked to work this, and no, wasn't he trained by
Lince Dorado? Was
Skade? Wasn't he?
I was going to say. Well, I guess that's all right.
I think he is. Is Grant Akuma in the chat?
Yeah, hopefully he is. It says he was a Chikara Wrestle Factory guy. So Chris Hero, Mike Quackenbush, and Skyade. So,
all right. So there you go. So he's from that branch of training, if nothing else.
Sure.
So I think that was Grant Akuma's maestro as well, wasn't it?
I think so. Skyade. Yeah. Hopefully he's in the chat room. Let us know. But
he was. I think he was in
why
there
Why is Grant Akuma not on the show? He knows the lucha style too, right? Yeah. Put him on there.
People drift in and out, but he was in the chat earlier.
He was for sure. But there it is. So it's still a Paul Levesque pay-per-view. We only have 5 matches. No, 5. Yeah, it's 5 matches. So that's Worlds Collide. I don't think this one's going to go into the pantheon of when Worlds Collide is, but we'll see. Who can say until we watch it on Saturday?
There's some matches there that could be good. I mean, there's a couple matches there that can land.
Sure. There are.
It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
No, it's definitely going to be noteworthy and interesting for sure. So we'll be watching that Saturday afternoon.
A happening.
It will be indeed a happening. So back-to-back wrestling on Saturday night because Joe.
Will they be hanging from the rafters?
At the Kia Forum.
Can you cut the electricity with a knife?
I don't know. I don't know if they'll be. You might be able to cut the electricity with a knife, but I don't think they're going to be hanging from the rafters. I looked at the tickets earlier today, and it looks like there are...
Will it be an irresistible force versus an immovable object at some point?
Anything could happen in the World Wrestling Federation. Who could say?
Will someone get hit in the... I blew it. Forget it. Car crash.
All right, so actually, it looks like tickets distributed for Worlds Collide. These are... I think there's combo tickets out there, too, so we'll see how many people actually show up for the show. But tickets distributed 9,497, so... of the setup of 10,776. So it'll be a pretty big crowd there if they all show up. So we'll see.
All right.
See what happens there. But immediately following that is going to be Money in the Bank from the very same venue. So they're going to get everybody out of there and start Money in the Bank 2025. A 4-match Paul Levesque pay-per-view. Can you even imagine the downtime we're going to have on this fucking show? 4 matches.
Now, this show I am not looking for.
This looks fucking awful.
Yeah, it looks. This is the shits.
This is one that I will, even if you told me let's do Instant Reaction Live, I would say no. This is a show that I must watch after it's over on Peacock so I can blitz through these entrances. I am not sitting through 2 Money in the Bank entrances.
Oh, God, I didn't even think about that.
Because that's why this is a 4-match show, because you have...
Oh, no. Yeah, you got to do 10 entrances.
Yes.
No, how many people are in these fucking... You got
1,
12
2, 3,
entrances.
4, 5, 6. You have 12 entrances. Yeah, so no thank you. No fucking thank you. I'm
How
good.
long is the typical WWE entrance? 5 minutes?
About that, yeah.
Do they just feel like 5 minutes, or are they 5 minutes?
There's that WWE Wait Times Twitter account that I can never find when I'm doing the show. I can always find it after the show. But they usually will have a breakdown of how long the entrances are.
If we're giving them 5 minutes, that's an hour alone on entrances for Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
If there's 12 people and they get 5 minutes each. Oh my God. An hour of entrances.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good at that. And that's not, and then the main event. And then the main event. So, for the women's Intercontinental title, Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch. This has been an okay story. I don't hate this story. I think this will probably be a pretty good match.
Hold on a second. What? Okay, this has been an okay story. Break down the Becky Lynch turn for me with all of her motivations.
Well, her motivations were not very good. Her motivations were, you people don't ever believe in me, and everybody always believes in her, and everybody cheered her. Yeah, I'll give you that.
They gave her an enormous pop when she came back. How did they not believe in her?
I'll give you that. So, okay, you got me on that. I thought that the promos have been okay. I think Becky being the, you're in my shadow and you're never going to get on my shadow thing is what it's the lowest of bars. Trust me. It's a very low bar for stories in this. But you're right. The beginning of it didn't have a whole lot of basis in reality of Becky doing the "you people didn't believe in me" thing, even though they always believe in her. So
yeah. All right, moving on.
Does Lyra hold on? Or Becky take the title from her? So Becky Hogan, everybody likes to call.
You think I have any feel for this?
You have no feel for it. And why would you? And how could you? Steffi Vakir better get some icy hot ready because she is going to be in a Money in the Bank ladder match immediately following Worlds Collide. Naomi, Steffi Vakir, Alexa Bliss, Rhea Ripley, Julia, and Roxanne Perez is your women's Money in the Bank ladder match.
Do you know who the fan favorite is to win this?
The fan favorite.
The general consensus.
Probably Vakir.
Among people who like the company.
I would say Stephanie Vakir.
You're wrong. It's Naomi.
Oh, no.
If you ever wanted to feel completely disconnected from the modern WWE fan base, there is this groundswell of Naomi support lately, which is like worse than Karrion Kross support. She's awful. Rich, she's terrible.
She's not very good at all.
They just don't. Their fan bases, I don't know what the fuck these people look for in their pro wrestling. I can't put my finger on it. I don't want to see Naomi wrestle ever again, let alone win important matches.
Right. Miss Money in the Bank, Naomi.
They have her standing around, like there'll be promos on the show, and she'll be like in the background, like staring people down, like the subtlety happens.
Cinema, yeah, cinema, absolute cinema.
The cinema, she's back there in her lime green fucking or whatever it is.
Caution tape. Well, she's got her caution tape thing, yeah.
Yeah. Highlighter colored outfits, just, and you see her back there like watching people do their promo. Like, It's Naomi. She's been cooked for a while now. But I don't know. She's over like fuck to this audience. Fuck it. Just give her the
Why
money in the
not?
bank.
Sure.
What does it matter?
Yeah,
Just
who fucking cares?
put the title on her too. Whichever title it is. I don't even know what title she would be going for at that point. Which brand she play for? I don't know.
She played for SmackDown, I believe.
All right, great.
But
which women's title is
that?
that?
When you're Mrs. Money in the Bank, you can go to whatever brand you want, I believe.
All right. Well, which brand has the title shaped like a butterfly? SmackDown in 2005.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Divas title. Yeah, I think Maurice has that one right now. So you got to take it off of Layla. Right. Layla L or Maurice has it right now. So you got to take it off of
Layla L. Oh God, you got to get through Michelle McCool with her Styles Clash, Faith Breaker, whatever she called it, Faith Breaker, right? Yeah.
Good Lord. Your men's Money in the Bank ladder match to determine who will be Mr. Money in the Bank. Seth Rollins, L.A. Knight, Andrade. It ain't going to be Andrade, I'll tell you that. Penta, El Grande Americano. I keep saying El Grande Loco. I don't know why. El Grande Americano and Solo Sikoa. What the fuck? That match looks awful. Holy shit.
Andrade.
Arriba.
0%. 0%. Andrade.
Good Lord, I didn't realize how bad that match is. It's freaking LA Knight, Andrade, who was going to be getting low effort because he's pissed off, Penta, Chad Gable after he just worked a match earlier in the night, and Solo Sikoa. Oh, boy.
Do you see all the heat I'm getting on YouTube for calling LA Knight an average wrestler?
Oh, yeah. You're fucked, dude. Yeah. People are like,
I'm getting all kinds of heat on
average,
YouTube.
He could kill it on the mic. It's like, okay.
I just, you
did call him the most mid wrestler who's ever mitted before. So, but that caught a lot of people by, a lot of people were not happy about that statement.
I didn't even think that was controversial to say that he's like the most average wrestler to ever be average, but I'm getting a lot of heat on the YouTube for saying that. Again, Rich, it's a completely different world. These people exist in a different universe.
Someone said, oh yeah, he's average. The guy kills it on the mic and is a megastar. And I was like, megastar? We have really...
Megastar?
Again, like you're talking about, words don't mean anything anymore. If LA Knight is a megastar, then words are worthless. Then nothing matters anymore. We're just saying things to say things.
If R-Truth is an all-timer and a legend, then LA Knight's a megastar. If that's the scale, right?
Sure.
He's a bigger star than Truth ever was. And Truth is a legend and an all-timer.
Right, so I guess LA Knight is a legend and an all-timer, right? A megastar. And then your main event, which Cody Rhodes laid the challenge.
You didn't pick a winner.
Oh, who fucking cares? I don't know. Sol Sikoa. Who cares? It'll probably be freaking. It'll probably be freaking, right?
Keep going with Seth, right?
Yeah, it's going to be freaking. Yeah, for sure.
Even though all the consumer metrics are crashing.
Well, it's freaking. Every time you push freaking, this is what happens. So they're going to have Becky win the Intercontinental title and freaking win this thing, and the ratings are going to crash like they always do every time they push Becky and freaking gets the title. So why not?
SmackDown struggling, Raw doing all-time lows. It's not great.
It's not.
Ticket sales are not as strong as they were.
Honeymoon?
They've got some TVs with like 6,000 tickets out.
I know that honeymoon.
It's obviously the business is still what would be considered strong. These pay-per-views are going to pack the buildings and everything, but it's the disenfranchisement we talked about 3 hours ago. It's starting to be reflected. People are skipping the TVs, and we'll see, but that tends to happen coincidentally when Seth gets pushed.
Always.
I don't know. All I know is Andrade ain't winning that match.
I know one guy who ain't winning, and it's Andrade. Yeah, everybody else is fair game, but it's not Andrade. I can assure you that. Yeah, well, yeah, probably not Penta either. But
LA Knight's not winning either. They don't give a fuck about him. But the other people could win, I guess. Right?
Yeah, it might be a huge weekend for Chad Gable. He might win the mega title and be Mr. Money in the Bank. I don't think so. I think Freakin's going to probably win this. But anyway, but then we go to our main event, which credit to Cody, who had about 11 seconds of TV time to put out this challenge. It was like, you, me, Jay, Logan, next week, Money in the Bank, black. It's just like, we're out of here. And I was like, all right, cool, you got it. John Cena and Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm just hoping we get John Cena versus the Yeet Man in a singles match.
I hope so.
I want to see how bad it could be.
That backstage, what I loved about that backstage segment too, it was like, so they did it out of order too, because Cena had already done his match, then he was back there like pre-match, laying out the challenge to Jey Uso, but he comes back there and he's doing this John Cena thing, so he's talking all monotone and his frowny face. Yeah. He's got his fake frowny face on, so he's like, I'm the real champion. This title you hold, that's not the real title. But you know what? If you go out there and you lose, you're going to be losing to a YouTuber. And that means the two titles are going to be held by a part-timer and a YouTuber. Think about that when you're going out there. And then they cut to Jey Uso, who's making like the grimace face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm mad.
Yeah, he's mad. Yeah. He's thinking about it.
Right. He's thinking about it. I like it.
He's like, wait, Cena has a point here.
Right.
That was a great heel Cena, by the way.
That's what he does. It's so bad.
I know. It was really good.
It's so
spot
bad.
on.
It's so boring and just nothing happening.
It's, I can't believe how bad he is at this. You
thought he'd be good. Like, it's this one chance to finally do this thing. You know what I mean?
He'd be waiting his whole life to do it.
Yeah. He's just... And
would relish the opportunity. And he's terrible.
He's just not good at all. At all. His matches. Yeah, the move. It's not only the promos are really bad. And we knew that from day one. When that first promo came out and the abusive relationship and everybody was pretending that was good and it was not good. And then like his work, it's like he just thinks he has to be boring, I guess, is what a heel does. It's not good at all. It's really bad. So hopefully Logan Paul and Cody Rhodes have their working boots on. Cause,
or maybe he didn't want to do it, but just doesn't have the energy to push back and was just like, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. And just has no energy for it because he just doesn't care. I don't know. He comes across like someone who doesn't care.
No, he does not come across like someone who he doesn't look like he cares right now, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty accurate. But there you go. That is Money in the Bank. Saturday night and Worlds Collide Saturday afternoons. We will be reviewing those next week on the Flagship. No instant reaction lives for Money in the Bank.
All right, so decision time here. We can move some of this to a plus because we're not going to get to all of it. What do you want to finish up this show with, and what do you want to move? We don't have to talk about the all-in card right now. We got
plenty of time on
that. We could just do now the best of the Super Junior. The only match of consequence was really the main event, so we can blow off the rest of the card since we're short on time. You didn't even watch the rest of the card.
I didn't watch the rest of the card. Yeah, I just watched the main event.
So and I did watch the whole card, and okay. The matches had good energy. How's that for a review of the rest of the card?
All right,
the matches had good energy. Evil versus Gato was more of an angle than a match, and they even got Walker Stewart involved physically in that one. And what they did was Evil hung Gato by the dog collar chain as a prelude to the dog collar match that we have coming up.
Mm-hmm. So, dog collar death match coming up at Dominion.
So Gato got hung by the chain. That was the biggest angle on the undercard. The rest of it was just multi-man tags and tag team matches that had really good energy with opponents at Dominion on the opposite sides. The only other thing I would note is I really enjoyed Nick Wayne and Robbie Eagles and the way that they wrestled each other in their tag. I don't know if they were in the same block. I don't remember. Or if they were in opposite blocks, but it made me want to see a Nick Wayne, Robbie Eagles singles match. And maybe it happened in this tournament and I didn't see it if they were in the same block, but I'm not even sure if that was the case. But they looked like they had some really good chemistry together. Other than that, in a show where we're running out of time, I don't think we need to go over much in these tags, and we could just talk about the final.
Yeah, so let's do that. I think we can get to all of our topics because we'll launch the all-in card, and we don't have to talk about Dominion yet either. So we'll do the main event here, and then we'll quickly talk about Dean. But Best of the Super Junior 32 final, Kosi Fujita defeats Yo, 28 minutes, 5 seconds. Now, if you have not seen this match, it was an interesting match structure. Essentially, Yo, who has been wearing Ziploc bags during the Best of the Super Juniors, that's his new thing that he's doing right now.
Weirdo.
He's a very weird man who's way too old to be this weird, right? Like, he's like 36 years old. You're way, way too old to be this weird. But against this youngest Best of the Super Juniors winner ever, Kosei Fujita, who wins the title at, 23 years old, I think, 23, 24, somewhere in that range there. But the match structure was Yo basically doing a tribute to all of his Chaos stablemates, both current and former. and basically doing their moves and doing their taunts throughout the match. So he tried a Rainmaker at the beginning. He did a Yano thing. And that's kind of what the story of the match was. And it wasn't really doing much for me for a while. I thought the finishing stretch was okay and pretty decent, but I've seen a lot of people that really, really love this match. I don't know if I'm quite there in the love, although I did think the finishing stretch was really good, and there was a lot of really good work there with both guys laying it all out there, the fans obviously being super invested in both guys. They didn't care who won. They just super invested that both these guys were working their asses off in the final few minutes. But obviously Fujita gets the win. The problem that I had is, in the match, I was like, oh, this match is not really landing for me. And then there was a final 5-minute stretch where I was like, okay, this is landing for me. I like this. Kosei Fujita did his move, he's got this convoluted like face buster move. I forget what it's called exactly. He didn't get all of it at the end, and the fans knew it, and the fans kind of expected, I think, that he was going to pick him up and try it again, but he didn't. He just pinned him, and you can feel the fans being like, oh man, that kind of looked not great, because he had a lot of really impactful moves at the end, and then he kind of fucked up his finisher. And then that was going to be the finish of the match. So that kind of took a little bit of the wind out of the sails too. So I don't know. I thought it was okay, but I'm like 4 flat. I think I'm a notebook flat. I don't think this is anything I could tell everybody to drop what they're doing and go watch right away. I don't think it was that good, but curious your thoughts.
4 stars is pretty damn good.
I mean, it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just not saying it's something that you have to drop everything and go watch. Yeah.
Rich Dave-flation creature over there. Jeez. I thought it was a really good match with great heat. They had the fans in the palm of their hands in this match, particularly in the closing stretch. And my big takeaway, I know the talk is Fujita and being so young and winning the Super Juniors and how people think he's going to be the junior ace, and he probably will be and all that. My thoughts coming out of watching the match were what could have been with Yo, and a career that really went sideways, and a career that really ended up being wasted in my eyes. You had the Sho and Yo tag team managed by Rocky. What the hell was the name of that team?
Roppongi, or no, you're talking about not Roppongi Vice. Or no, yeah, wasn't it? What the heck was that team?
Roppongi 2K.
Roppongi 2K. Roppongi 2K.
They
the
were
Tempura
just in
Boys, the former Tempura Boys.
Right. They were in this perpetual, endless loop of winning the Super Junior Tag League, then winning the tag titles, then holding them a while, losing them, and then rinse repeat. They did that like 3 or 4 years in a row.
There was like 4 Wrestle Kingdoms in a row where they would win the junior title tournament and then go for them at the Wrestle Kingdom and win at Wrestle Kingdom. It was just it was the same thing over and over again.
Endless loop, and and it's like, all right, well, when are we going to do something? And they finally split them up, and for a while, Sho was like a power junior and was doing some good work, and Yo. And it was like, okay, let's see which one of these guys becomes the star. And then, unfortunately, neither one of them became the star. And I thought that these were the 2 most promising young lions that came through New Japan in many years and still have and still are. And what I mean when I say that is promising when they are still young lions. Nothing that happened after Excursion or when they were, but when they were young lions, these 2 to me are still the 2 most promising young lions that they've had in the last decade and a half. And both of their careers went absolutely nowhere. And Sho was just put in House of Torture where careers die. Now you want to put Yujiro in House of Torture. You want to put Yoshinobu Kanemaru in, guys who are either at the end of the line or just aren't, or just not guys. And that's fine. Right. Sho, that was a complete disservice to kill his career by putting him in that group, running around with a wrench and everything else. And, he's just a paycheck collector. He knows his lot in life and he just does what he's asked. And that was the end of him. And Yo just became an absolute weirdo. I mean, he's just an artsy, different kind of thinker, I guess, in real life. And it comes through in his wrestling, but he was really good in this match. And it's just a shame that both of their careers went completely sideways and went the way that they did, because I think that they both could have been truly great wrestlers. And now they're pushing 40, and that's not going to be in the cards for either one of them.
I think that was the most shocking thing for me, is how old, when Chris Charlton was talking about running down his career. And I knew that Yo was older, but then when he said, this man's 36 years old, and I was like, fuck, man, that's old.
Yeah, I mean, they were older young lions. That's the thing. They weren't teenagers like a lot of them are. They weren't 20. They were older as young lions. So, and they, it just I can't think of two careers I've been more disappointed in since we have been doing this show, in terms of two guys who looked like guys, potential guys, and they ended up both being complete nothings.
Well, think about, I remember every year that we would do the New Japan ebook, we would fight over the Yohei Komatsu versus Sho Tanaka, who's going to do the bios of those. And it became a little bit of like a bragging thing of like, the people that wanted to write those bios were who really thinks that this guy is going to be better than the other guy. And it was always this idea, who's going to have the better career, Sho or Yo? And every single year in the bios, it would be like, oh, this year I think Sho finally proved that he's a little bit better than Yo, and a little, you know what I mean? But and this is while they were in a tag, or when they were in their young lion phases. And it's like, oh, Sho got one more win over Yo, so clearly they think. And then the next year it's like, no, Yo, they think Yo's better than Sho. And it was like, you read back to those bios, and it's like, sky's the limit for these guys. These guys are going to run the division. These guys are going to run this junior division for years. And in a way, they kind of ran the junior tag division for years, but in a very sleepy way, in a way that nobody really cared about. And they never, as singles guys, never broke out in any meaningful way whatsoever. And Yo, I mean, he's had a couple of, he's been in multiple Best of the Super Junior finals, and it's just like, who cares? I mean,
has he been in multiple?
He has. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was in one, I think, 2 years ago, I think.
It's hard to find a wrestler in New Japan I'm less interested in than Yo, but Sho might be one of them. Like, I just don't want to watch either one of them do anything.
2021 Best of the Super Juniors. He was in the finals against Hiromu.
Yeah, I mean, especially Yo, but I just don't want to watch either one of those guys ever do anything. And it's just so disappointing and crazy that neither of their careers panned out, and they're just going to be guys on the roster for the rest of their career, as long as they choose to stick around. Sho is going to be a sleazer forever. And Yo is just going to be like this guy who never fulfilled his promise. And the older he gets, the less apt they're going to be to push him. And you're going to have guys like Kosei Fujita coming up behind him who get the spot. And, we've seen how many guys come up behind him and get the spot. Hiromu and Fujita and Will Ospreay when he was a junior and everything else. And just got bypassed by everybody, and deservingly so. There's just nothing there with him. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not tapped in enough. Maybe they sell a bunch of those sleazy photo book fucking gimmicks of him or something. I don't care about any of that though. I'm here for wrestling, and he's just a complete uninteresting wrestler. But this was a very good match, and they did have the crowd in the palm of their hands, and Yo was doing the thing where he was doing all the moves of his pals, all the ex-Chaos guys and everything. That wasn't lost on the fans. But Fujita wins, and he's really the story here, even though we didn't spend any time on him. And it's up and onward with him, and he's going to be a big time junior player. I am struggling with Fujita though. I don't quite see it as much.
I don't quite see it as a lot of other people do. I think he's good.
Obviously good. Yes.
Yeah. But
he's obviously good. I am not there with him like everybody else.
People see him as like future junior ace, like locking him in as the junior ace, and he probably will be, but just by attrition. But I don't know that he's gonna like grab it by the horns. You know what I mean? Like I don't.
He's just not a guy that I'm excited about. Like I don't look forward to. Oh man, he won Super Juniors. What are these? I can't wait for him to win the title. I don't know, man. I never get hyped for his shit. He's a good wrestler, and maybe I'll turn the corner on him at some point. I don't mind being last on a guy. I've been last on people before. I have to come on here and tell people what I think. And maybe people think I'm crazy that I'm missing whatever it is that I'm missing with this guy. But I don't see him as generational. I don't see him as this transcendent guy that a lot of people see him as. So I'm looking hard. And it would help if he has big matches against people that aren't Yo, because I'm facing a barrier right out of the gate, because I'm annoyed that I have to watch a Yo match. I told you that earlier today. I texted you or whatever, and I was like, the only thing I haven't watched yet, and this was a couple hours before the show, is New Japan, because I'm dragging my feet because I don't want to watch Yo wrestle. That's how much I hate watching this guy wrestle. So it's a barrier that has to be overcome immediately. And they did. To be fair, they did. I sat down and arms crossed and teeth clenched, but I uncrossed my arms and clenched my teeth because they had a good match. So I don't know. Now we wait and see. how Fujita's career plays out.
Right. Well, it's not off to a great start because he is not going to be on the Dominion card because Fujita Desperado is facing Jun Kasai for the junior title on June 24th. So Fujita's going to have to wait for his title shot at a later date or something. So a little interesting that they did that, and especially since it's after Dominion. But
well, Despy loves these fucking death matches, and I mean, I don't know why he wastes his time with that junk. But you know, it's all right. So whatever, it won't be at Dominion's loaded though, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's loaded. I just find it funny the guy wins best of the Super Juniors, and it's like you get the title shot eventually. Well, he's got to face Jun Kasai in a death match first, and then you can get your title shot. I don't know. It just makes it immediately feel kind of. Whatever. But yeah, there you go. Fujita's got the win, and he will get a future title shot. But we'll talk about Dominion next week. It's not until the 15th. Let's quickly go over this Dean show here as we do our final topic on the show. So now you and I both watched the main event for the All Japan Pro Wrestling, but you watched the whole show. So I don't know if you want to do that on a plus or something like that. It might be better suited.
I'll do All Japan on a plus.
Okay, do that.
I have some CMLL stuff I have to do too. So I'll do an All Japan. That would be the June 1st show with the Saito #1 versus Saito #2. I'll do that show, and I will do some CMLL stuff too on the next plus.
There it is. Locked in. All right, but let's talk about Action Wrestling Dean here again. Last week, I interviewed Matt Griffin, the CEO of Action Wrestling, about some background of the show and some logistics of the show. But let's review the show itself. So we'll start off at the beginning. Well, first off, what was your experience watching the show? Did you watch it live? Did you watch it on demand? Did you wait for it? Well, it wasn't available live, obviously. So yeah, it didn't air live. So did you watch it right when it released on Tuesday? Because it kind of it live streamed on Tuesday, or did you wait to watch it on demand a little bit later?
I watched it when I was able to carve out some time.
Yeah.
Look, it was a show that didn't waste any of your time. It was a show that was an easy watch. And I don't think, and you talked about this with Matt a little bit, the goal wasn't for anyone to go out there and steal the show until you get to the Cibernetico and the dog collar match. So everyone knew their role on the undercard. They went out there, and if anything, they left a lot on the table in some of the matches, but that's kind of the idea. And it was just an enjoyable show to watch top to bottom. It's a nice, light, easy watch, which is a weird thing to say on a show with a Cibernetico and a dog collar match, that it was a nice, and a ROH pure match. Those could be thick and heavy too. You know what I mean? So it's but it was still a nice, light, easy watch, and I mostly enjoyed everything.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It wasn't I didn't have super critical thoughts about a lot of the matches, and because a lot of them were cut very short. So it's you really, you have a 6-minute match. The opener was Rhino versus Manders. I don't think that match was any good, but it was 6 minutes. It didn't really I didn't feel like I wasted my time watching it. It was just yeah, whatever. This match is fine. I don't really have any super strong thoughts about it. So that makes it, I think a show like that, where you structure a show where the match is on top, you give one match a lot of time. And the Cibernetico got a lot of time, and everybody else got a couple of minutes to go out there, have a guy do an entrance, do your basic match, and get out of there. I think there's something to be said for that. I think it makes for a very, very enjoyable experience where, even Rhino and Manders, I didn't like Rhino and Manders, but how much am I going to bury a match that was 6 minutes? And it was perfectly fine. You know what I mean? There was nothing bad about it. I just didn't think it was good.
It was just a 2-star match. It was just there, and it was fine.
Right.
I've seen better meat slapper matches for sure. I think overall the difference between this Dean show and the last Dean show is this was very much more I don't want to use the term super show, but it was less of an action show and more of an ROH action indie lucha super show, right? Whereas the first Dean had a lot of in the weeds action wrestling storylines and action wrestling matches going on. And this one was a little bit less of that and a little bit more of let's do a random Rhino versus Manders match just because we think it's cool, right? Let's do a random Cibernetico where guys are just going out there and having fun because we think that's cool. Now the Mad Dog Connolly Adam Priest match had a story, and I'm not saying it was completely devoid of action, but it was way less than the first show, where basically half of the first Dean show was an action show.
Was in canon action, yeah. A lot. It was in canon action wrestling. This was not a canon show. This was just a a bunch of guys are going to go out and do matches.
Yeah, it's a joint show of exactly. I'm uncomfortable with the term super indie show or something like that, but it was a joint show more than it was an action show. You get what I'm trying to say here. But so Arez and Gringo Loco against Jaden Newman and Tank, and that was a match deliberately put together because it was a clash of styles. That was the point, right? He talked about that with you last week.
Right.
So, and it delivered from that standpoint. It was absolutely a clash of styles.
It's certainly odd to have, Arez and Gringo Loco enter the ring, and then Reverend Dan Wilson enters the ring doing, his Coven of the Goat and doing his promo or whatever. But it made for an interesting experience as
Arez working with Tank of all people.
Yeah, right. Right.
And it was interesting seeing a lot of like the AEW fans at ringside not knowing what to make of Reverend Dan Wilson. Like they just didn't know what to make of this guy. I don't think they'd seen a gimmick like that in a long time. So it delivered from that standpoint. And then Josh Woods and JD Drake, I really like JD Drake, but I think the end is near.
Mm-hmm.
I think
he's kind of washed. He
had the knee issues, and he had the bad knees. It cost him some opportunities. I'll leave it at that. And he's getting older. He's putting on more weight. It's probably harder for him to do things to keep his weight in check because of the knees.
I think he's in that very bad cycle where you need to lose weight to take the brunt of the damage off your knees and take the weight, literally take the weight off of your knees. But it hurts to do a lot of stuff because you have fucked up knees, and you're in this very odd position where you probably need to lose some weight, but your knees won't let you do it, but you need to lose the weight for your knees. So it's a very tough position to be in. But yeah, he's starting to look like, and he's on the other half of 40, right? Isn't he over 40?
I don't know how old he is. He's got to be around 40. But
41. I think he's 41.
This is a guy where when he was in like Evolve towards the end, he was one of the best independent wrestlers.
Oh, he rocked. Yeah. Even his early AEW stuff was pretty good.
It's just a shame. If AEW would have happened 5 years earlier, I think his career turns out a lot different. He still, has the knee issue or whatever, but by the time he got to TV, he was past his peak. His peak was that time, right around the time when he was with Evolve, and Gabe was pushing him, and he was having all those great matches in Evolve. Right before and right into that era where Gabe was also booking some of the WWE talent, where they would bring in the Street Profits for a while and, whoever else. That was kind of his era, and he was really great. But, yeah, he's older, he's got the bad knee, and he's just not the same worker anymore.
Then we had a match that I really loved, Beast Mortos and Slim J. I mean, this is exactly what we thought it was going to be. And and we had this discussion when we were previewing this show. Slim J is somebody that it's like, how can Tony Khan not find something for Slim J to do? I have
no idea how he's not still under contract. This guy would be on my roster.
I could use Slim J on every episode of ROH for sure, but I could use him on Collision from time to time too.
Oh my God, he'd be all over my TV.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't necessarily like push him harder. Like I'm not saying he should be world champion, but
no.
The guy is so good. I mean, and it's incredible how good he is. Considering it's like he's not full time. I mean, I'd have him in those trios matches on TV every week, like they have the position they have AR Fox in. He's just everything he does is crisp, perfect execution, and still to this day he pulls shit out of his ass that blows that like you haven't seen before. And even people like us who have seen it all, the way he'll take a bump. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about inventing moves or anything like that or doing a new kind of flippy-do, but the way he'll take a bump or the way he moves around and transitions from one, he still does shit that I've never seen. He's so good. And it's just crazy to me. I mean, I'd have that guy signed. He wouldn't have left his show with that, but he was there and on a per date. Tony let him go. I know there was some bad blood. I don't know if there still is. He didn't have some great things to say when he got released from that per date. But, he got another payday here out of Tony. And I don't get it. I think he's one of the most underrated wrestlers in all of the United States. I really believe that.
Yeah, I in my mind, I'm watching him and I'm just like, man, I could just imagine on my TV, having anybody I want to put over as a big, like imagine Powerhouse Hobbs versus Slim J. You know what I mean? And Slim J's already in the ring, and it's Slim J, and it's like, it's gonna look cool. You know what I mean? He's gonna do a couple cool moves. The fans are gonna go, ooh, you said AR Fox. What they're doing with AR Fox, exactly the same thing. I would have a stable of those kind of guys, and Slim J would be another one of those.
Yeah, you give them a third partner. Think of somebody, and they should be in trios matches every week. Putting over higher profile.
Right. They never win.
No, you know what they do? They put over Speedball, Kevin Knight, and Commander. That's what they do. You have AR Fox, Slim J, and think of somebody that's not being used much on ROH or another flippy do guy that they have hanging around the roster, and they put over the guys that you're pushing and make them look great and can hang with them and do all of the wacky shit that Kevin Knight and Commander want to do. And you can trust them. You can trust Slim J and AR Fox to be able to do anything. So yeah, absolutely. That guy's great.
Find
he
something
really
for
is
him.
Great.
Find something for him for sure. ROH Pure title match here was Lee Moriarty versus Matt Mako. I think we figured out it's finally Matt Mako here, or Mako. Is it Mako or Mako? I don't remember now. I already forgot again.
Mako.
Mako. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. So Lee Moriarty versus Matt Mako here. ROH Pure title. This is one of those, the Pure title, like I said, it either lands with me or it doesn't land with me. I don't know if this one fully landed with me. They got Lee Moriarty, I think, was out of his rope breaks pretty early on. Matt Mako was able to kind of work with that a little bit more, but I don't know. It was one of those that I think this match went a little too long, and I would have preferred it being like a 6 minute or 7 minute match, but they went to 10, and I don't know. It just didn't land with me.
Yeah, it's a Pure title match. Like, I didn't think anything on this show was bad, but there was stuff on the show that didn't really move my needle either. And, it is what it is. But look, again, it didn't occupy a lot of our time.
No.
It was 10 minutes. And they even noted in the commentary that it seemed like it was a faster paced Pure match than usual. And they were like, we don't think this is going to go the time limit. They were like, there are and I like how they noted that there were 3 judges watching on a monitor in the back because they didn't have the judges out at ringside like they usually do.
Attention to detail, though. I love that.
Attention to detail. There's 3 judges watching in the back.
Right. If you care, we'll care. Exactly.
They didn't even say who they were. They could have made up 3 names. They could have said that Christopher Daniels and Jerry Lynn and Chris Hero were back there, right? Even if they weren't. They didn't even bother making up names, but that's okay. It was enough just to mention that detail and not ignore it because you think, no one really cares. But like you just said, we will care if you ask us to care. We want to believe. We want to suspend disbelief. I loved that Dylan Hales threw that in there.
It's good stuff.
That the judges were watching in the back.
He gets it. He gets it.
He does get it. Yeah, we know that he gets it.
He knows. Yeah. And then we have our match of the night, I think. Right? I think this is your match of the night, too.
Oh, my God, this was great.
This was
so much fun.
You have to watch this match. If you're listening to this right now and you didn't want to watch this match after I talked about it last week, what are you fucking doing? Go watch this match. Cibernetico, 10-man elimination tag. Blue Panther and Hologram survive after 24 minutes. Just action like crazy. Great spots. Everybody getting their shine. Old guys in there with young guys. Flyers with grapplers. Like so many it was so many, styles make fights, different times of this match. Just guys would tag in, another guy would tag in, the crowd would pop because it's some weird combination of 2 dudes. Just fun. This was just fun as fuck, and it got really good for a while too. And you could see, and this is Matt talked about this too, everybody had their working boots on. Every guy from Virus to Blue Panther to Volador Jr. to Euphoria, everybody went out there working their absolute asses off.
To the most grizzled veterans that made your Valientes and your Euphorias, they could have mailed it in. But they were all out there having fun and working hard. Yeah, it's just a super fun match.
It's a blast. And the big spot being, the big ending being Blue Panther surviving and him and Hologram surviving. And that just being a really cool moment where, everybody, Blue Panther, I'm saying winding down his career, but he's still fucking great. So I don't know.
He's really good. He's still
winding
really
down?
good.
I don't think he's winding down because he's still really fucking great.
And this is that trap. He's not really good for a 62-year-old. He's just pretty good.
He's just really good. Yeah, that's what I mean. He's 62 years old, for God's sakes. Yeah.
It's not, we're not grading on a curve. Like, he's still just pretty good.
Right.
I'd still
Because
rather
this
watch
match
him
was supposed to
than...
be the highlight of, all right, here's this 62-year-old guy that's, this is, but really, he does that a lot. And then you realize, wait, how many times do I watch Blue Panther matches where the end of the match is, wow, that's a pretty good match for a 62-year-old, before you just realize this 62-year-old is really fucking good still. Like, he's still so good for his age. But, this was a hell of a lot of fun.
He knows what he can do, and he does it. And, he did it. He did the same dive like 3 times. Did you notice that? Where he ran off the apron and dove on the guy. And even the commentary had to know, hey, he's going back to the well, but it landed again.
If it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
He's doing those flip dives off the apron,
But, it was a lot of fun to watch here. And after the match, too, a really cool moment as Blue Panther and Hologram are celebrating. And then Bryan Danielson comes down to then talk about how great Blue Panther still is and how great that match was, and a little bit about him being a wrestling nerd. So that was a cool moment to see Bryan Danielson out there being a wrestling nerd. So
talking about watching through the curtain and talking about supporting independent wrestling. And then he said how excited he was to get a chance to see Mad Dog Connolly wrestle for the first time. And he put over Adam Priest as the best independent wrestler in the world. And you could tell that he was speaking from the heart and he meant everything he said. And sometimes you could tell guys are just, you get that at WrestleMania weekend a lot, where a guy will cut a promo at the end of the show and it's just like, it's platitudes, but you feel like their soul's not in what they're saying, right? And the crowd claps and stuff. You know what I mean? You knew his heart was in everything he was saying in that promo.
Absolutely. And you knew he was watching through the curtain, too. He's not a guy that they just said, hey, Danielson, the match is over. Get out there. No, you knew he was watching through the curtain, marking out, going crazy. And you knew that once Mad Dog Conley and Madam Priest hit the ring, he was also back there watching it again, too.
You kidding me? He was wishing he could have been on this show.
Absolutely. Yeah. He probably pitched going under a mask, right?
I think I don't know the status of his neck surgery, whether he had it yet or he's going to have it or whether he's recovering. He probably couldn't, even if he wanted to, because of that.
He didn't look like he was in ring. He was a little skinnier than you usually see him, so I don't think he was in that ring shape just yet.
Now, look, I am 100% confident he will wrestle again. I don't have any doubt.
Of course he will.
I don't know how many matches he has left, though. I think that last big run was his last big run, and I think he thinks that, and he knows that, and his wife isn't going to have any, you know what I mean? And it's but do I think he has matches left in him? Yes. Do I think maybe he has less than 10 matches left in him? Yes. So
I think that's fair.
But he will wrestle again. I don't have any doubt. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if he only has a handful of matches left. And he'll pick and choose them. I mean, they have to have him beat Mox at some point. That has to happen. And from there, he got a lot. Look, you know that he thinks it's really the 1 minute to midnight for him because he got all of his dream matches in on the last run.
He blitzed through his dream matches quickly.
And he really got a lot of crazy shit in. So there's not much left. But I don't think – I think I'm 100% certain he'll wrestle again. So we'll see.
But cool moment. And then that led us to the dog collar match of Mad Dog Conley versus Adam Priest, which I know a lot of people were surprised this match was only 7 minutes long. And I know you're the dog collar aficionado. What'd you think of this one? Were you surprised at how short it was, or was that fine with you because it came out and it was just a fucking war? It was, there was no wasted movement, no wasted time. And I kind of appreciated how quickly it was.
Well, it was very thick with story, right? Priest with his bullshit in the beginning where he wanted to attack Connolly before he put the collar on. Then they struggled actually getting the collar on Priest, so that got a little awkward. And then they did more story-driven stuff as opposed to violence-driven stuff towards the back end of the match. So it was a different kind of dog collar match. And they didn't go very long. They went under 10 minutes as well. So you had a little bit of blood, a trickle of blood. You didn't have guys covered in blood. So it was a different kind of dog collar match. So would I put this high in my pantheon of dog collar matches? No, it's, but for this show, an outdoor show, a free show, not a family's there. I don't know if you're going to go full on violent war in a situation like this. Adam Priest was very clearly a heel, working his heel persona, trying to steal a match from Mad Dog Connolly because it was Mad Dog Connolly's comfort zone. So it was a story match where the heel was trying to be underhanded, and probably because the idea is deep down he knew he couldn't beat the guy at his game. And Connolly ends up prevailing in the end anyway. Did I enjoy it? I did. It was a fun little dog collar match, but that's kind of what I said at the top. Like, you don't expect a show with a cybernetico and a dog collar match and a pure title match to be a light, breezy watch.
Yeah.
But they didn't go super thick and heavy on any of those matches. They didn't give us a 20-minute pure match where you really had to lock in and pay super close attention to all the details. They didn't give us a super violent dog collar match. They didn't give us a cybernetico that was an hour long, because some of those times those matches are in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was the what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to shortchange the matches, but it was kind of like the thrifty version of those matches. The free show outside in 100-degree weather version of those matches. How's that?
Right. The thing that I had with the main event and why I liked it was the idea that Mad Dog Connolly is the master of the dog collar match. He is the guy. This is his type of match. And Adam Priest at no point was comfortable in this match whatsoever. And that was the story of the match, was that I got myself into something that I don't really know if I want to be in this dog collar match with this guy. So he didn't. He tried to avoid it. He tried to attack him at the bell. He tried to not get the dog collar. He tried to use the fans to help him get, and it was all about getting out of there as quickly as he possibly could, because he felt uncomfortable and he knew Mad Dog Connolly would absolutely destroy him if he stood up to him and just did a one-on-one match with the dog collar. So they didn't do that. They did 7 minutes where Priest is trying to get away and do whatever he can to not be destroyed by this maniac here that's the master of the dog collar. And I think that's fine. I think having a chaotic match like that is good. And I think having a match that ends that quickly is actually a positive too, because it lets you know that the next time you watch a Mad Dog Connolly dog collar match, it might not last 20 minutes. It might not be a 20-minute epic where they bleed buckets. Sometimes it's just, he gets the right opponent, and the right opponent is scared to be in the dog collar match with him, and he hangs them, and he wins. There's a match with Thomas Shire at the limit break where they got a dog collar out, and Mad Dog, after like 7 minutes, just hung him over the top rope, and the referee was just like, nope, that's it. I'm calling it. There's no way you're getting out of that, and just calls it. And it's like 7 minutes, and it's in and out. So I think it's a smart way to work this match too. And I think it's a good idea to have it where Adam Priest is uncomfortable, and he doesn't want to be in this match, and he ultimately loses quickly because of it.
Yeah. So, that was Dean. It's an enjoyable watch. I think what's it, like 2 hours total? Not even, a little less, maybe. No, about 2 hours, I guess.
Just about 2 hours. A little over 2 hours.
Yeah. So, I can recommend the show if you're in the mood for something different. You're all caught up on everything else you want to watch, and you haven't seen it yet, and you want to see something a little different and some different talent. I would recommend it, and I would say don't even skip anything.
No, I watched it all. Hit play and watched it all.
Through.
It's a nice Jordan Smith in her chair and put it up perfectly. The show was kind of like a nice sampler platter, and it really was. It was a bunch of different wrestling.
For sure. Yeah. And the Cybernetico is just super, super fun.
Right. That is a must watch. If you don't want to watch the entire show, that's fine. If you're listening to this right now, what the fuck are you doing? Go watch that Cybernetico right now.
All right. So Flagship Plus, in the next 48 hours, I'll have the Tuesday and Friday Arena Mexico shows covered on that show. So the 5:27 Arena Mexico and the 5:30 Arena Mexico. So obviously last Friday's Arena Mexico is Zandokan versus Mascara Dorada in the Copa Junior final. I'll talk about that match. And the Tuesday Arena Mexico, that had Hechicero challenging Ultimo Guerrero for the MLW. Was it the national title?
I think he's what is he? He's the MLW National Openweight champion.
That, and also there was a MLW Tag Team title match on that show too. So I'll have all that covered. In addition to the June 1st All Japan show from Sendai Sun Plaza, which, by the way, they did their best number in Sendai Sun Plaza ever. So Saito versus Saito drew.
Man.
So it drew because they did like 2,200 or something. And they I don't even think they've ever put, I'd have to go look again. I know it's their highest attendance in that building, but I don't think they've ever put 2,000 in that building.
Wow.
But I'll talk about that on Flagship Plus. And then next week we will preview Dominion, which I think is a loaded show. I think the Dominion show, there's a dog collar match on it, which is always going to help for me. But I think the Dominion show looks pretty loaded from top to bottom. And then maybe we'll peek our heads in and talk about the what's looking like a stacked all-in show as well. So that's what we have coming up.
Yeah, next week's going to be a big show. We'll review Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank as well. I do want to note before we sign off here, Voices of Wrestling's 30 Under 30. By the time most of you guys listen to this, the list will be live on voicesofwrestling.com. A lot of interesting feedback so far about that. A very good list, I think. I think we got the voting panel, expanded it by I think it was 25 people ultimately that voted in this year's poll, and I think it's a real good reflection. Now, I'm just a voter. I had nothing else to do with it. I was just a single voter in that. Griffin Peltier kind of put this whole thing together this year and is kind of the driving force behind it. But I think it's a very interesting top 10, and I think the whole list is very, very interesting. So if you're into young wrestlers and learning about young wrestlers, maybe people that you've never heard of before, and ranking wrestlers, we got you covered there at voiceswrestling.com with the 30 Under 30 list, which should be live. Numbers 15 through 1 should be live by the time most of you guys listen to this. If you're listening on the live feed right now, up to 16 is available. So you have honorable mentions, and ups 30 through 16 is available right now at voicesofwrestling.com. But I think the results are going to, maybe not surprise people, but I haven't seen anybody pick who's our number one, who came out number one.
I don't even know who it is.
Yeah, you do not know. A lot of people have predicted a lot of names, but the one person that is number one, I have not seen predicted yet. So it's kind of interesting.
I think that the 30 for 30 has become one of our trademark yearly things that we do on the site. And I truly mean this. There's not another outlet in the world who can do as good a job on that as this panel does. There's not another outlet in the world capable of it. And I don't care who's offended by that, because if you're offended by it, do it, because I guarantee this thing is so deep, and there's just wrestlers from literally every corner of the globe represented in this thing, because we have a panel that knows ball and is watching everything. And not everyone on the panel is watching everything, but between all the panelists, everything is getting watched. Yeah. And there's no bias. And when other outlets try to do similar things in this vein, best wrestlers under 30, let's be honest. If like Uncrowned, I think Uncrowned does a version of it.
Yeah, ESPN did one last year, and
ESPN,
it was.
And what you're going to get when these kind of outlets do it, you're going to get a list of 10 people. 7 of them are going to be from WWE. 2 or 3 are going to be from AEW, and then you'll get your token rest of the world pick. And that person's always going to be someone who has worked in AEW, right? Because these people aren't watching what our panel is watching, and they're not covering the entire breadth of the world of pro wrestling the way we are. And they're just going to stack their list with the Sol Rucas and Roxanne Perez's, and it's going to be vapid nonsense loaded with people who we know are not the best wrestlers in the world under 30. They're just not. But, they're serving an audience, and they have panelists that don't know what they're doing. So those are the kind of lists you're going to get. This panel is watching worldwide wrestling, understands what they're watching, and there's no bias or lean towards anything except for Case with the Dragon Gate guys. But there's no bias or lean toward. I'm kidding, Case. I'm just busting your balls. But it's look. There's going to be WWE names on the list, but we're not going to rocket pack them to the top because we feel like we have to. Okay, you're going to get Rhea Ripley's going to get some votes. Braun Breaker's going to get some votes. Should they be listed a little higher than honorable mention? Yeah, maybe, but maybe not either. Because do we know that Braun Breaker a better worker than Shun Skywalker? He's not. He's not. And that's why this list is so good. Because it's people that know what they're talking about, who aren't going to be biased in any direction, and they don't give a shit where the people land. If Braun Breaker ends up in the honorable mentions, so be it.
Yeah, nobody feels obligated to say, "Oh man, shit, we got to get Rhea Ripley up there. She's got to be top 7."
The voting is what it is.
Yeah.
If MJF drops 10 spots and gets mad, it is what it is, right? The list is going to be what it is, and I think that there's not an outlet in the world, and I'm not even part of this. Rich, do I have any?
Nothing.
Am I involved in this in any way whatsoever?
Zero.
So this is not me patting myself on the back. I have zero involvement in this. I don't even know what the list is. I'm finding out with everybody else. I don't know what number 1 is. I don't know who's on the list. Okay? So this is me. I'm not even, this isn't even my usual fucking gimmick of putting myself over. No one is capable of putting together a list like this in the world other than this site. And that is the kind of work that makes me proud of what Voices of Wrestling does. We have never aggregated. We never will aggregate. We don't take those shortcuts. We don't give a shit how much money the site makes. Let everybody else chase that. Okay? If you want smart ball talkers talking ball and putting together lists like this and the FSM 50, okay, which I was very passionate about keeping alive after the magazine died. And Aaron Fora and Alan does a tremendous job keeping that flame alive. And stuff like our Match of the Year poll. And all of those sorts of things that we do. Someone has to do it. Without putting Sol Ruka at the top of the list. Someone has to do it. And talk about this shit intelligently and do it the right way. So I've been following this along with everybody else. And while I think the honorable mentions were a little too deep, ain't nobody reading all that shit, Rich.
It's all right.
You need to trim it down a little.
No. Okay? My stance was we're sicko shit, so fuck it. We're putting them all in there. That was my call.
You sure did. That's one endless scroll with those. I'll tell you, with those honorable mentions. I have never skipped so many Joshi profiles in my life. But listen, who else is going to do it?
That's what I said. I said, who else is going to do this shit? ESPN's not going to do it, so fuck it. Put them all in there. Put them all in there. Every single one.
Okay? No one is capable of doing what you guys have accomplished with that. They're just not. And I wanted to make sure I got that in. I didn't know if you were going to bring it up this week or if I was going to lead off the show next week with it. But I just want to get that in there. It's so all encompassing. And, and when you're talking about, I was so pleased to see somebody like Oji Shiiba listed in the honorable mentions because I just watched him in that Osaka Pro light heavyweight tournament, right? There ain't another outlet on the planet who could pick that guy out of a lineup.
Hell no.
But we got people voting for him, and I put him over last week and how great his work was in that tournament and talked about how, holy shit, this is a major league pro wrestler. OG, and I hadn't seen him wrestle in a long time since he was so injury prone in Dragon Gate and everything. And he's working under that Suzaku gimmick, and that's who I believe he's listed as Suzaku in the 30 under 30.
Yes.
And that's a perfect example of a guy who, other outlets going to expose
ESPN,
you to that.
There's a guy on ESPN that's saying, this Suzaku guy from Osaka Pro's junior division.
They're going to tell you Tatum Paxley and fucking the fucking flippy-doo girl who doesn't know how to put a match together.
Ruka. Is Ruka or is it the other one? Okay.
That's what you're going to get on the list. You get Roxanne Perez is the best.
Jada Parker.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you're going to get.
Right.
Braun Breaker and, number one and he made our list, but in a fair slot. So anyway, I'm just repeating myself now.
No, you're good. No, I think the best, a great way to wrap that up is there's a bunch of different, so 8 different people got first place votes for us. There's a Mexican wrestler, 2 Joshi wrestlers, an American woman, 2 Japanese wrestlers, and 2 American wrestlers.
Yeah.
Or guys that wrestle primarily in it. Well, no, okay. They don't primarily wrestle in America, but whatever. I'll just tell you, it's a diverse list. Like, again, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that with all first place votes. There's no way. And the top 15 is just all over the place. You got Joshi, you got Japan male, Japan women, like I said, with the Joshi, you got American women, American males, overseas, Mexico. It's all over the place.
Let me end it with this. I'm not saying people can't disagree with the list or disagree with the placements or disagree with who made it.
No, that's fun. That's the fun of it, of course.
You absolutely can do that. What I'm saying is there's not another outlet in the world that could construct a list like this with the same level of knowledge and care that this list was put together with, whether you agree with the list or not.
That's perfect. There it is. So VOW 30 under 30. By the time most of you guys listen to this, will be available at voicesofwrestling.com. So go over there and check out the list. And then, of course, go into our Discord and let us know what you think. There's a 30 under 30 channel as well. But all right, that is it for us. We told you what's coming up on a Flagship Plus. We told you what we're going to talk about next week. We're very organized here, more than usual. But that is good stuff. So flagshippatreon.com for all of our bonus audio. $5 tier gets you all of our bonus audio. $10 tier unlocks all of our written content, live shows, as well as that $5 bonus audio. So the $10 tier unlocks everything we do there at flagshippatreon.com.
So this $5,000 mic you made me buy better sound better this week.
It sounds great right now. This show, you've sounded fantastic. So I think I think the USB port you have found is the one to stick with forever. So put a piece of tape next to that or something, because I think we figured out your problem. But
I'm looking forward to listen back to the last 4 hours like I do like a psychopath every Thursday.
Yeah, that is psychotic behavior, but you will find that you sound fantastic. This is the best you sounded probably ever. So congratulations on your new 5,000. I don't think it was quite 5,000.
I told Craich, I said, Craich, send me a link.
It wasn't. It was more than 100. I'll tell you that. It was somewhere between 100 and 5,000.
And man, did I get shaken down. I felt like he was ribbing me. My God.
I got stock in that company. That's why I'm like, hell yeah, guys.
Thankfully, it's a tax write-off. So.
Yeah. I'm now kicking myself for not giving you the voicesofwrestling.com/Amazon link to that microphone. That could feed the family for a month.
I took care of that.
Oh, did you, my man? All right. It's good. Good for you. Thank you.
So when you see, because I know you get the anonymous, when you see the microphone along with the Benoit balls, you know who ordered all that together from.
God. Oh, dear God. All right. That is it for us here on the Flagship. That is Joe Lanza. I am Rich Craich. We will talk to you again next time. Take care. Bye.
Hi, I'm Andrew Rich. And if you're like me, you look at the state of modern wrestling discourse and think, wow, what a cesspool. That's why I'm here to tell you about Music of the Mat Remix. That's right, your favorite wrestling music podcast is back with a new format, where I bring on a guest and we play songs related to wrestling-themed topics. It could be a wrestling reference, a wrestling concept, a wrestling pun, things of that nature. Now you might be saying, Andrew, that is a very, very tenuous connection to pro wrestling on a wrestling podcast network. Is this just an excuse to hang out with your friends and talk about music and ignore the rest of the wrestling landscape? Yes. Yes, it is. So listen to Music of the Mat Remix on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, available on Apple, Spotify, or your podcast player of choice.